All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Market Close. And boy, oh boy, is it going to be a pretty wild close. We have a lot of companies that are reporting earnings. So we're going to get into all those companies and we'll see what they end up reporting after the bell. Again, a lot of different companies and a lot of different sectors. This is kind of basically after today. You have some earnings over the next couple of weeks, but this is the last really busy day of earnings. And so we got about 20 companies that we're going to be looking at today going into that. On top of that, we're going to do earnings from 4 to 4:30. And then at 4:30, we're going to get Trump and Tim Cook going live at the White House because Tim Cook will be investing $100 billion. Apple has basically already confirmed this in the United States. And as a result of that investment, we are going to see the ramifications of what that investment means for the broader market. Apple is having its best day. By the way, the S&P 500 up almost 1% on the day. Apple is having its best day since mid-May, up almost 6%. Really has not participated in this bull market. I think Tim Cook is essentially going to kiss the ring in order to get Apple stock to start participating in this bull market and become Tim Apple again. And as a result, that should hopefully help the stock as well. Apple right here up 5.4% of the day. Shopify crushed earnings. They're up 21%. Nvidia going green as we get into the close. Robinhood going green as we get into the close. I bought 1,000 shares today at 480. It's down 4%. It is what it is. You're going to get some red days. So Grab right here, unfortunately down about 4% on the day. Arista up 17%. Astera up 28%. S&P 500 up almost 1%. You got Duolingo going green into the bell. I mean, this does seem like it's shaping up to be a good market environment, at least for today. Yesterday's earnings were just horrible. It was bloody red across the board. Whereas today, the entire market's green. So hopefully these earnings can deliver some good results, and that can be green as well. Tesla, I don't know what the big headline is on Tesla today, but that is up 3.2%, 318 on Tesla, which is not too bad to see. And then, of course, Palantir did hit all-time highs today at 180.58 cents. Right now, we're at 177, up about 2.64%. I think we will get that 177.50 close in the next 14 minutes. And if we can, that would be a record close for Palantir today, which would obviously be incredible given the momentum that it had. Bitcoin right here, slightly green on the day. Open Door, nasty day, down 24%. Some of the quantum names are taking a bit of a hit, down 2% on IONQ and Rigetti. Snapchat, ugly day, down 18%. Rocket Lab, they have earnings tomorrow. That's down 1%. But in terms of the main companies that had earnings today and that put up numbers, even Disney, which was red in the morning, ended up, well, now it's still red. It did go green for a little bit, back to being red. And then Uber, I think, is red, slightly green, 89.46. And so we're going to see how some of these other companies perform as we get into it. Now, BMNR, Tom Lee was on CNBC, and he said Ethereum to 16,000. He said our current valuation model suggests that it should be worth 16K. So, he said it should be up 16,000. BMNR is up 16% on the day, 38.80. If you hold BMNR, you got to be happy about this. If you DCA'd in the high 20s, low 30s, you also have to be happy about this. This is baked in volatility. It will go up, it will go down. But if you're happy to have something that's that volatile and levered against Ethereum, then obviously this is not the worst play in the world. Ethereum right here at 3,600, that is green as well. Let's get a little update on the Apple news, and then at 4:30, we're going to see Trump and Tim Cook go live. But before that, we will have a ton of earnings to get into as we close out the market today.
So we've known the president was making a big announcement today at 4:30 p.m. in the Oval Office. And now we can report that according to a White House official, it's an Apple investment. Apple says it will be upping its investment in the U.S. by $100 million to bring the total to $600 billion over the next few years. They say this $100 billion commitment to America is a significant acceleration of the U.S. investment they've already announced. They say that part of this investment will go towards what they describe as an American manufacturing program. It's dedicated to bringing even more of Apple's supply chain and advanced manufacturing to the U.S. They say through the program, they'll be incentivizing global companies to manufacture even more critical components in the United States. Guys, all of this attributable to a White House official who also confirms to me that Tim Cook will be in the Oval Office for the announcement later today. Again, that's scheduled for 4:30 p.m., guys. So we know that Tim Cook has been talking consistently with the president this term, as he did in the first term as well, to try to get better relationship and also better treatment for Apple amid tariffs, amid export controls, so many policy issues that impact the company. We also know this president responds very well to investment commitments like this one. So now we see Apple upping its investment commitment by another $100 billion.
All right. So now what's very important here is that today, we talked on the market open, the India tariffs on 25% for India went live. Well, one of the exemptions inside of the policy legislation via executive order that went live today, which is a continuation of the extension of the exemption that already existed for tariffs globally, are smartphones and semiconductors. It's a bit ironic that the day the United States announces a new 25% tariff on India is the same day that Tim Cook is visiting Apple. I mean, you put two and two together, it's kind of obvious that they worked out a deal that if Apple invests $100 billion in the United States, they will get to avoid the tariffs. Because I have a funny feeling if Apple did not want to invest $100 billion, or at least invest something in this joint partnership with Trump, you might see some India tariffs. And given the iPhone is 17%, or Apple's making 17% of their iPhones in India now, that would not be a good thing for Apple's business. So it looks like that is what Tim Cook was able to work out, and he's going to put on a good face in this joint press conference. Apple right here, 214. And that obviously would be bullish for Apple. And, you know, Apple going up is good for the market. I have Apple in my stock draft portfolio. I don't actually own the stock, but the reason I picked it at 198 was a little bit of a contrarian play. Everyone was getting so bearish against Apple. And even I, which have my own bearish takes against Apple, it's freaking Apple. Like, and Apple going up will help the NASDAQ. It will help the S&P 500. It's a stock that is, you know, one of the most owned stocks in the entire world. So it's never a bad thing to see Apple get some momentum. Jensen was also at the White House today. NVIDIA right here, 179.61, getting a little bit of momentum as we get into the close. Whatever Jensen was there to talk about with Trump, probably had to do with export controls. Obviously semiconductor policy. You probably had a bunch of things that he was talking about, but he was in the White House today. Maybe Trump's going to talk about why he was at the White House. And we'll see whatever Trump has to say at 4:30 when we get the actual press conference. Now, AMD is still a little bit of a nasty day. AMD right here down about 6.5%. At the worst, it was down almost 10%. Now it's down 6%. We'll have Jose on tomorrow to break down AMD even further. But the part of what he said in the market open, which is that bulls got a little too excited expecting massive data center revenue growth, and it just wasn't there. Pricing power, China revenue, that could help it in Q3, Q4, but this is just not growing at the level that NVIDIA is growing at. Doesn't mean it's a horrible company. It's just not going to get that massive, massive premium if there's not that massive, massive growth. And that's why AMD right here down about 6% on the day. SMCI and Snapchat just had bad earnings. SMCI has been ugly the whole day, down 18%. I mean, those gross margins just weren't good, and the market's not rewarding it based on those margins. I put a poll in the chat. Which one do you think outperforms? I think these are the four of the biggest companies, or at least some of the most followed companies that are reporting. We got a lot of companies. Let's make our watch list as well for earnings today. Again, it is going to be madness. We're going to have companies going back and forth, and I'll try to get all the numbers as quick as I can. But AppLovin, Duolingo, DraftKings, and Elf. 47% of you say AppLovin is going to outperform. AppLovin, I think, is going to have the best growth out of all these companies. I mean, we looked at their growth a week ago, and the growth quite literally is phenomenal. I mean, it trades at a very aggressive multiple, but we can understand why, given how fast they're growing. So the question is just, can they keep up that growth and get the street to be excited? All right, so we have Joby, Lyft, Symbiotic, DraftKings, Oxy, Duolingo, AppLovin. What am I missing? Because I'm missing like 10 companies. We also have Fortinet. Let me add that. Cybersecurity. And let me know which one of these names you guys own or which one you guys are heavy in. ET, that's an energy company. Energy Transfer. Redwire, that's a space company. I didn't know they were reporting today. RDW, they were reporting today. IONQ, I have that on there. I do not. IONQ. Okay, so that's going to be important for the quantum names. And then Honest. Honest is another one that I know people are looking at. And we'll see that. Dutch Bros. Do I have Dutch Bros? And let's get Dutch Bros. Dutch Bros is big for Matt Money. Dutch Bros right there up about 1.2%. Duolingo I'm interested in because it's in my stock draft portfolio. So I am curious what can happen with this one. I think they are going to put up some good numbers. I don't know how much the street's going to respect it. I will say Duolingo's down from 550. So if Duolingo even kind of puts up good earnings, I think we should get some good numbers. Yeah, I have Joby on the list. I have Joby here. Now, Joby's had an incredible run going into earnings, down about 2.3% right here. So if Joby puts up anything decent that the street likes, we should see hopefully some more momentum, but it has run up a lot. And so we're going to have to see what Joby can do. This was Mr. Tom Lee this morning talking about Ethereum, or this afternoon, a couple hours ago.
Did some research from Sean Farrell, who's our head of digital asset strategy, and he put out a presentation about Ethereum today. So he thinks the ratio of Ethereum to Bitcoin could go back to its 2021 highs, which is about 0.14. That would value Ethereum today at around 16,000, and it's currently 3,700. So he's just saying Bitcoin ratio versus ETH, let's get back to where it was 5 years ago, which makes sense because it's a better story today than it was in 2021, and that gets you, close to 16,000.
So one last question on all of this. Taking a step back, you're a retail investor, you're looking at your portfolio. What do you want your holdings to look like potentially? And I realize it's individualized for everybody, but what do you want your holdings to look like? Crypto versus stocks versus other things?
Well, in 2017, when we first wrote about Bitcoin, we recommended 1 to 2% into crypto. That has been 100x for our clients. Today, we're saying if you're starting, 5 to 10% is appropriate for the median investor. If someone's younger and they can let time work in their favor, then 20% or more makes sense. That's consistent with the BlackRock mathematical calculations. And again, I think there's still a lot of upside. Just keep in mind, Wall Street is running into the blockchain right now.
Well, Tom Lee.
There you go. You got Tom. He's telling everybody, hey, if you're young and you've got the time, believe in me, believe in Ethereum, believe in BMNR, where you're going to see if Tom Lee's able to pull it off. Quite frankly, it shouldn't be that hard. If Ethereum does run, he wants to get 5% of Ethereum. The thesis is really simple. It'll be volatile, but if you believe in Ethereum and you want leverage against it, that's why you buy BMNR. But you can't complain when it goes down like crazy, when they dilute you like crazy, because they need to buy more Ethereum. But you also get to enjoy the rewards of when Ethereum runs theoretically to 15,000, 16,000. BMNR will be running in a much more leveraged way against that. So the return should be incredible as well. Zillow, we have earnings today. Airbnb, we have earnings today. I will try to get to every company. I'm sure there's some companies I won't literally be able to report on immediately. We're going to have 30 minutes to get to all of this before Trump and Cook go live. And Trump and Cook might not go live till 5 p.m. So that might give us an hour. But just bear with me as I get through all the results. I will try to get through literally everything as it comes across my screen. And the goal of earnings for me, as we end out this week, which is kind of the fourth week of earnings for Q2, is trying to make sure the consumer's in a good spot and that companies are beating. So Lyft, Uber had phenomenal earnings today. Lyft needs to do the same. Joby, more speculative name, but can we get some more momentum on something that is a bit more startup-y? But can it show like this company deserves to be public? Duolingo, user growth, AI, is that a tailwind? AppLove and advertising, that's big for that part of the sector. Zillow, real estate, what are they saying? Airbnb, are people still traveling? Like, these are the things that, honest, are people buying biodegradable diapers? Are people having enough kids where there's demand for biodegradable diapers, right? Like, so all of this stuff I think is very important to kind of get a conclusion of when it comes to understanding what we got on earnings. Where is Palantir? We got 3 minutes into the close. Is Palantir running? Wow, she's really running into the close. I mean, a 180 close would not be crazy. That would be fun. That would be fun. Let's see. We got 3 minutes. Apple 213, S&P 632, NVIDIA 179. NVIDIA and Palantir twinning today. I posted this on Twitter. It's always nice when you got two of the hottest AI names in the world twinning. So back on June 16th, they were both twinning at 140, 144, 142. And now today, they're both twinning in the 179 range. So look, it's been incredible momentum. It's really nice to see a lot of people have changed their lives with Palantir, and it's just been an incredible journey. And the market is continuing to give a premium on those earnings, which is very, very exciting to see as long-term shareholders. BitMine right here up about 15%. Uber is flat on the day. Tessie also, I don't think there was any big Tesla news. Let me know if I missed it. I didn't see any big Tesla news. But that one, oh yeah, that was Elon saying FSD 14 might be coming out next month, at the end of next month. So that could be the reason why Tesla's, wow, look, NVIDIA's 179.43, Palantir's 179.42. Literally twinning at this point. AMD right here down 6%, SMCI down 18. We got about 40 seconds until this market closes. Let's see what we got. All of you guys are saying AppLove and outperforms. Look, I'm hoping Duolingo does the best because I own it in my stock draft, but I have no dog in the race. I don't own any of the stocks that are after the bell in terms of earnings. So we're just going to see, and we'll try to analyze as much as we got. There's Davis. Davis, I told everybody in the morning that you bought a Tesla. He named it Tessie. I was like, dude, I feel like you heard that word from somewhere. You know, you just came up with that word Tessie. I feel like you heard it from somewhere. He's refusing to admit he heard it from me, but I think he heard it from this channel. All right, here we go, folks. 10 seconds. It is going to be a wild, wild day after hours, but that is why we do what we do. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Wednesday, August 6th, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Palantir closes at $179.59. The stock market is now closed. markets closed. We got a record close on Palantir, $423.7 billion market cap, 179.59 cents. NVIDIA, 179.42 on the close. S&P 500 up about 0.75% on the day. We have recovered everything we lost since Friday. Apple, best day since May, 213.25. BMNR, best day in the past 2 weeks, up 15%, 38.49. Uber was down a bit on the day. Disney was down about 2.6%. Robinhood goes green at the close, 105.65. Shopify, 154.90. Incredible. Grab, nasty day, down 4%. Fortinet right here is up a little bit after hours. You got Misty that was up 2% on the day. Where was MicroStrategy? MicroStrategy was up also as well, 2% on the day. And then you had AMD as well, which also had a little bit of a nasty day, down about 6%. All right, let's get into the earnings. We should be getting numbers any second now across the board. And let's see what we got. Symbiotic goes down. Symbiotic goes down. There is your red candle, 9% on the day. Nasty red candle. That is the first one to drop. That is the first one to drop, down 10.9%. I don't see any other big movers. Duolingo, that's up 4%. Okay, let's see if Duolingo can hold the pump. That's up 4%. You got Duolingo up. Symbiotic must have just had some nasty numbers, down almost 12%. You got Duolingo right there, up about 4%. I will try to get as many numbers as I can in a second. But so far, those are the moves. Symbiotic down 10. Duolingo now up 6%. Again, Joseph Carlson told 100,000 people 2 days ago that he's buying this stock. So that also has a lot of people interested in the name to see if his thesis also makes sense. Okay, Symbiotic, wow, they missed earnings by 400%. Bit nasty. Duolingo up 8% right here. 400%, a negative 5 cents versus negative 1 cent expected. Revenue, they beat by 11%, 592 versus 533. EPS is down 150% year over year. Revenue is up 20% year over year. That is why Symbiotic is now down about 10%. Duolingo gets 10%. Duolingo gets 10%. That is green. I don't have their numbers. Again, the stock has been sold off from 550, so any good numbers should get the street a bit excited. Don't have their numbers yet, but that one is green. IONQ, that's up about 2%. Dutch Bros is up 0.5%. Airbnb is up about 2%. DraftKings is up 1%. So we are getting some after-hour moves. We don't have a lot of the numbers for them yet, and we are going to see what the numbers look like as they begin coming out. Symbiotic still getting dumped 15%. That one's getting hit. Joby, no numbers yet. Redwire up a little bit. IONQ up 2%. Zillow's flat. TSSI. We had someone do a deep dive on this company about a month ago. They are one of the major vendors for the suppliers of Dell, which does a lot of the server racks for these GPUs. So we'll see what they have on earnings later today. Joby right here up 0.26%. Wow, Duolingo 15%. Not bad. Not bad for Duolingo. Getting some love right there. 16%, 400, busting through 400, 17% now. Again, this is, it's not really that large of a company, 15 billion. It's not a small cap. It's not a massive large cap, but it did get sold off a lot going into earnings. 405 right now, 17%. Lyft is down 3%. Lyft is down 3%. Let me see if I can get some other numbers right here. A lot of these numbers still loading. And then we'll keep going from there. Duolingo at 405. Lyft, I think we have those numbers. Do we have it? Let me see. Okay, we got a lot of them. So Lyft, let's start off with Lyft. Lyft right here is beating on EPS, missing on revenue. Wow, they beat EPS by 150%. 10 cents versus 4 cents expected. That is not bad at all. They missed on revenue by about 1%. EPS is up 900% year over year. Revenue's up 11% year over year. If there's no tax accounting things on EPS, then it might be their free cash flow margins, which really started improving a year and a half ago when it was at $9. And that might be helping it. Duolingo beats EPS by 57%. It's up 21% after hours. 91 cents versus 58 cents. Revenue beat by 5%, 252 versus 240. EPS is up 78% year over year. Revenue is up 41% year over year. This is a growth stock, and it's getting some of that growth after hours. 20% on the day. Shout out to Joseph Carlson. He should be pretty happy about this. So you got that with Duolingo, and then we have a couple other numbers. Lyft, again, EPS growth was incredible. Airbnb beat by 10% on EPS, 103 versus 94 cents. Revenues, they beat by 2%, which is good, not great. Airbnb is up 20% year over year on EPS. Revenues up about 14% year over year. That stock, are we moving at all? Airbnb is down 3%. Airbnb is down 3%. Fortinet, don't have their numbers yet, but that's up 4%. Cybersecurity name, that should be getting some momentum. You got a bit of a green candle right there. up 3.54. DraftKings up 1%. Symbiotic down 14. Wow, Duolingo still going 417. My average is 474 in the stock draft. 474 in the stock draft. 417 on Duolingo. App Lovin'. Oh, no. 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 That one's tanking. Oh, man. Let's see how. Okay, App Lovin's very volatile. I don't trust the candle yet, although it's hard when you get to that 8-9%, it's hard to reverse. But let's see. I would not be surprised if it reverses. App Lovin' is very volatile. I could imagine App Lovin' coming back. It could be a gut reaction. Let's see. Okay, here we go. App Lovin', they beat EPS by 21%, 239 versus 198. 12.5 billion versus 1.22. They beat revenue by 3%. Revenue's up 17% year over year. EPS is up 170% year over year. Revenue growth is not that good. I thought this was a massive growth stock. EPS growth is great, up 169%. Revenue growth is not that impressive, 17%. I'm sorry, but that's just not that impressive for App Lovin', which does trade at a pretty expensive multiple, 25 times sales. App Lovin' right here down 12%. Dutch Bros is up 8%. Okay, so App Lovin' is bad for Tanner because he owns it right now. Duolingo is good for me because I own it. And Dutch Bros is good for Matt Money because he owns it. I think Matt Money was down like 20% on Dutch Bros, so he's getting a nice little recovery right here as this one is up 9%. Don't have the numbers on Dutch Bros yet, but we should be getting it in a second. Elf, this is the one that Chris owns. Is Elf up or down? Elf is... Do I even have it on the screen? I don't. Elf is flat. Elf beat by 6% on EPS. They beat by revenue. They came in line. 353 versus 353.5. 0.89 versus 0.84. EPS is down 19% year over year. Revenue is up 9% year over year on Elf. And that's what we got. TSSI, that is down 20%. This is a small cap, less than $1 billion market cap. That one goes down. App Lovin' now down 15%. That's pretty nasty. That is pretty nasty. Let's see if we can get some other numbers. We looked at Elf. We looked at App Lovin', Duolingo. Duolingo really crushed those numbers. Dutch Bros beat by 44% on EPS, 26 versus 18. And then 415 versus 403 in revenue. They beat by 3%. Revenue's up 28% year over year. EPS is up 37% year over year. Not bad for Dutch Bros. Let me try to get DoorDash. I don't have that yet. Fortinet, I do have. Fortinet's up 4%. 64 cents versus 59 cents. They beat by 8%. Revenue came in line. Revenue is up 14% year over year. EPS is up 12% year over year for Fortinet. Airbnb is up about 1%. Lyft now down 10%. They beat EPS by 900% and they're down by 10%. That's a bit aggressive. DraftKings is flat. Duolingo's up 24%. App Lovin' now down 12%. Joby goes down. Joby goes down. You got a 4%, 5% candle right there on Joby. I will try to get that in a second as well. Again, we got Trump and Apple in about 20 minutes and we'll see what they have to say. And then we will keep going from there. DoorDash, IONQ. Okay, we have IONQ. They missed EPS by 141%, but beat revenue by 20%. EPS down 400% quarter over quarter, 289% year over year. Revenue is up 174%. IONQ is down 4%. Now, this one pumped yesterday, so giving back some of those gains, not too crazy. But IONQ, you do have a little bit of a miss on EPS. Why is Tesla pumping? Is Tesla pumping? Oh my. Well, okay, guys, it's up 0.14%. Everyone's spamming Tesla. It's up 37 cents, dude. I'm over here thinking Tesla's up 4%. Yeah, Tesla is green, which is nice. It's not really pumping yet. Lyft right here down 8. Duolingo 24%, baby. 24%. Shout out to the Green Owl. Shout out to the Green Owl coming back. Joby, okay, here you go. Missed by 116% on EPS. They did 15,000 in revenue. This is why I called it a bit of a startup that's public. I mean, 15,000 in revenue per quarter is not really the most amount of revenue. They missed by 75%. EPS is down 128% year over year. Revenue's down 46%. Again, you're buying potential when you buy Joby. You're not buying earnings, but those are a little nasty, and Joby's giving back some of those gains. So not too crazy on Joby. Okay, what else do we have? Matt Money is green on Dutch Bros, up 13%. I think we looked at Dutch Bros earnings. Yeah, we looked at that. They beat on EPS and revenue in a very nice way. We looked at Airbnb. Zillow is out. All right, Zillow missed by 50% on EPS. Zillow goes down 7% On Zillow, EPS is up 114% year over year. Revenue's up 15% year over year. They beat by 1% on revenue by about 8,655,000 versus 647. Zillow's waiting on rate cuts. That's down 8%. Is Opendoor down because of Zillow? Opendoor is up actually after hours 2%, but Opendoor was down 25% during the day. So you got Opendoor down, and then you got Zillow right here down 8%. I'm sure all of us have window shopped on Zillow and looked up like $50 million mansions in the Hamptons that one day we may be able to buy. I've definitely done that. But outside of that, I'm not the most profitable user for Zillow, but they have a great business. I mean, it's an advertising marketplace. It's just not that many people are in the purchasing mindset for a home or the selling mindset because the housing market's frozen. And that is the headwind for Zillow. TSSI right here down 15%. Duolingo still up 24%. AppLovin recovering. AppLovin recovering. Only down 4%. I mean, this is a very volatile name. 10% down. Doesn't have to stay 10% down. So that one still is getting a little bit of recovery. DoorDash, let me see if I can get those numbers. We haven't looked at that yet. DoorDash, is that green? DoorDash is up 6%. In the chat this morning, we did a poll on Uber Eats or DoorDash. Most of you said, in the United States at least, you use DoorDash. DoorDash numbers, okay, they beat by 51%. Wow. This is really good for a consumer company. It means people are ordering food, which means they have the disposable income. If they're not all using buy now, pay later to be able to order food, which means the economy is somewhat healthy. 65 cents versus 43 cents. That's up 51% year over year. Or sorry, up 271% year over year. Revenue's up 25%. 3.28 billion of revenue DoorDash did versus 3.16 billion. They beat by 4%. DoorDash is green. DoorDash is green. Is Elf pumping? Wow, there you go. Elf, even though it's not Christmas, getting some green right here, up 8.8%. Elf, we looked at their numbers. Revenue's up 8%. EPS is flat. So not the most exciting, but Elf is now getting some of these numbers. Honest, I don't have those numbers yet. That one's flat after hours. Again, Honest, $500 million company. So that one also could move in a very volatile way, but we don't have those numbers yet. Ashfree says a lot of buy now, pay later happening at my restaurant. We did see a chart about people using buy now, pay later, specifically for food delivery and for what was the event in California? Coachella. So, I mean, it is a growing industry, and that's actually, to the benefit of a firm. But the question is, is that okay for the overall landscape of the consumer? IONQ down 4%. Fortinet's up 2%. Lyft, I don't know why they're taking Lyft down that much. That is weird. Joby's now down 7%. Duolingo still holding 24%. Duolingo's not letting go. It is not letting go. And then AppLovin trying to recover, but down 7%. Trying to cover, but down 7%. Lyft forecasts upbeat bookings on European expansion and new partnerships. Dude, they're up 900% year over year on EPS. What is the street mad about when it comes to Lyft? Like, were they looking for something else that just wasn't there? Because they are upset. Let's get some updates on earnings, and let's start off here with Airbnb. And then we'll keep going from there. Trump and Elon, or not Elon, Tim Cook should be live in about 20 minutes.
Numbers are out. Mackenzie Sagalos has the numbers. Hey, Morgan, let's start with Airbnb. Those shares moving higher, up about 2% in the after hours after beating on the top and bottom line. EPS coming in at $1.03, ahead of the 93 cents expected. Revenue also a slight beat, $3.1 billion against the $3.04 billion street estimate, thanks to solid growth in nights stayed, plus a slight boost in that average daily rate. Now, gross booking value, which reflects what hosts are earning, that was a standout at $23.5 billion, beating expectations of $22.7 billion. Nights booked on Airbnb accelerated from April to July. And then looking ahead, Airbnb guided Q3 revenue in line with estimates at $4.02 to $4.2 billion. But Q3 adjusted EBITDA margin is expected to be lower year over year. And then that nights and seats booked category, it was a slight beat at $134.4 million. This is key because investors are looking for proof that its next act in experiences is gaining traction. The company also announcing a capital return move, authorizing a $6 billion share buyback.
Wow. Airbnb share buyback. By the way, we didn't talk about it in the morning. Uber also announced a $20 billion share buyback. So you got companies buying back their stock. And real quick, in the month of July, folks, corporate buybacks, $160 billion, which was the largest month in history for corporate buybacks. So you had corporations say, we are buying back our stock. That created a lot of volume in July. That helped out a lot of different companies. And those buybacks seem to be accelerating, which is a good thing for all of us as shareholders of these companies. AppLovin right here, still down about 5%. Duolingo holding 24%. Joby down 8%. Lyft down 6%. Symbiotic down 15%. I did not find the other one that I'm supposed to be looking for. Which one is it? HubSpot. Yes, let me get a HubSpot. This is enterprise software, if I'm not wrong. Let me pull this up. I believe it's like a $30 billion. And then we'll do DraftKings. HubSpot is beat by 3%, on the top and the bottom. EPS is up 13% year over year. Revenues up 19%, 219 versus 212, 760 versus 740 on revenue. Hubs is the ticker symbol, $25 billion market cap. That's up 8%. That is up 8%. There you go. So HubSpot going green. And then DraftKings, this is another big one. That's up 7%. People are gambling. DraftKings earnings. Let me pull that up. We got missed by 7% on EPS, beat by 6% on revenue. 38 cents versus 41, 1.5 versus 1.4 on revenue. EPS is up 70% year over year. Revenue's up almost 40% year over year. DraftKings is green. DraftKings is green. So you got some momentum on DraftKings, and also the fact that people have disposable income enough to gamble on sports or whatever else they see. That could be moving DraftKings as well. I still don't see Honest earnings. Do I have it? Okay, yes, I have it. Honest revenue, $93.5 million. Second consecutive quarter of positive net income. Net income of $4 million, which is up from $8 million last year on a loss. So Honest is up 0.65%. Revenue, $93 million, 93.4, and then net income of $4 million. Channel consumption was up 6% year over year, $72 million in cash. They're projecting 4 to 6% revenue growth for fiscal year 2025. I don't know what's the most exciting about Honest growing at 4 to 6%, but I'm sure there's some other thesis I'm missing. But yeah, Honest is up 1%. Again, I don't hate it. I don't love it. I just don't know much about it. But 4%, 6% revenue growth, I don't know if that's the most exciting opportunity right there. Honest down 1% on the day, now flat after hours. Palantir moving a little bit, 179.54. NVIDIA, 179.33 after hours. S&P 500 down a little bit. SMCI down another 1/3%. MicroStrategy flat after hours. AMD up a little bit. ELF is up 4%. Tessie again at 320. AppLovin, it's trying to bounce. It was down 10. Now it's down 5. Trying to make a move, but not getting too much love. And then Dutch Bros right here, up almost 14%. Up almost 14%. So there you go. Nebius doesn't have earnings today, right? I don't think they have earnings today. Not Nebius. So we shouldn't see those earnings today. But you did have AppLovin. AppLovin again, GAAP EPS of 228, beat by 30 cents, revenue 1.26 billion. The only issue with AppLovin is revenue growth at 17% is just not that exciting. But it's still a phenomenal company. EPS growth of 170% is exciting. And now it's only down 4.5. Maybe it rises. Maybe it rises today and gets some momentum. Tomorrow morning, Nebius. Okay, cool. Tomorrow morning. Oscar, by the way, did that end green? That ended actually green on the day, 3.76, even though their earnings weren't the best. So you got Oscar that ended up going green towards the end of the day. Okay, Lyft, let's get the update on that and see if there's something deeper to the story. Lyft with a massive beat on EPS. Not sure where the street is taking that one down.
Now, EPS, that was a beat at 10 cents versus the analyst estimate of 4 cents. Revenue, however, slightly missed at 1.59 billion. The street wanted to see 1.61 billion. Gross bookings, that's the total value of rides on the platform, were basically in line at 4.49 billion. And then rides also landed close to expectations. Profitability, that was a bright spot here. Adjusted EBITDA hit 129 million, topping estimates. And then for Q3, Lyft is guiding gross bookings between 4.65 and 4.8 billion. That is ahead of expectations. And it sees adjusted EBITDA roughly in line with the street, but investors not liking what they're seeing. Those shares down around 7.5% now.
I guess they needed better adjusted EBITDA guidance. I mean, it feels like that's what the street wanted, even though that was a pretty good beat, but it is what it is. That's what we're looking at. AppLovin is trying to go green. Are we officially green? It is $4 away from going green. 1%. Let's see if she pulls it off. Again, this one, very volatile, but it is a fundamentally good company, S&P 500 candidate. So the reaction to being down 50% on 170% EPS growth was a bit weird. but you're trying to get a fight back right here, down 1.55%. Yeah, I'll pull up the app revenue or the app IR page in a second. We'll go deeper into their numbers. I want to try to see ET Energy Transfer. This one is a big energy name. Let me see if we have any green. Okay, ET, we've got revenue of 1.16 billion, or sorry, net income of 1.16 billion. That's a beat. Just the EBITDA of 3.87 billion, cash flow of 1.96 billion. And then CapEx was 1.04. That stock ET after hours is flat. ET is not really a volatile. I mean, dude, I looked at ET. I remember April of last year. It was 1650, 1786. You don't really buy this for the stock. You buy this for the dividend. Dividend of about 8%, 7.39. So not expecting anything crazy on their earnings, but ET is flat after hours, and it looks like they beat on the top and the bottom. AppLovin, again, 1% away. Duolingo, 22%. Duolingo still 22%. Honest, again, revenue growth was not crazy. Guidance was not crazy. Wow, Honest is now down 9%. Oh boy. Now it's down 10%. All right, Street doesn't like it. Street does. I don't know why the Street's upset about that. Honest was not they didn't guide to grow 30, 40%. So like, it's always surprises me when the Street gets so upset about these names. It's like, they didn't surprise to the downside or the upside. So these volatile reactions are kind of weird, but whatever the reason, Honest right here now down 10.4% again. $500 million market cap is what you got on Honest. All right, Trump, I think, should be live. He's live a little bit ahead of schedule. Let me pull him up. We got through most of the earnings. After Trump, we will get through the rest of them. There's maybe like one or two companies we missed, but we talked about pretty much all of them. Let me see. Is he actually live? We got some footage of Tim Cook getting into the White House. And let's see if the live stream is up. And then we'll keep going from there. Let's see. No, live stream's not up yet. Okay, actually the live stream's up yet, but he's not live. All right, so we have a couple more minutes. Yeah, they usually don't go live 10 minutes early, so we probably have 10 minutes to see what we got. DoorDash right here, that is up 3%. Let's get an update on those DoorDash earnings and see what the Street might be excited about on that.
Lines with those shares about 2.5% higher right now in the after hours. The company posting earnings of 65 cents per share, well above the 44 cents expected, and revenue of 3.28 billion also came in ahead of estimates. One key metric we were watching for is marketplace gross order value. That's the total dollar amount of all orders placed on the platform. It came in at 24.2 billion, which is stronger than expected. DoorDash called out notable strength in U.S. restaurants and says customers are seeing more value in DashPass, that is its subscription service, while merchants are seeing more return for those members. Now, in terms of Q3, the company gave upbeat guidance, projecting profits above Street expectations. I'm going to be listening in on that earnings call, which kicks off at 5 p.m., guys. Morgan?
All right, we're keeping you busy. Mackenzie Segalos, thank you.
Why are you guys saying Amazon's tanking? Amazon's fine. What do you guys... What website are you using to say Amazon's tanking? There is no Amazon tanking. Unless that was a glitch inside the brokerages all at once. I don't see Robinhood. Yeah, Amazon's fine. It's down 50 cents after hours. It had to be a glitch. This stuff happens. Google Finance is the worst for this stuff after hours. We saw Nvidia go to like $70 a month ago on Google Finance. Yeah, that's a low volume glitch, most likely. Yeah. I don't think we have like a meaningful crash on Amazon. Okay, cool. So Amazon, Robinhood showed it too. Okay, so that might have been for a second. Amazon right here, that's down a little bit after hours. Again, DoorDash. If people are buying that DashPass for like $10 a month or whatever, I mean, you got people that have some money or disposable income. I don't know. Do people think of DoorDash as a luxury? I think of Uber Eats and DoorDash as a luxury. I don't think of it as like, this is my go-to way to get food. I think of it like, hey, it's a Friday night. I don't feel like cooking. I'm going to order some food. So if you have more of that behavior in the economy, you know, maybe that is the sign of a bit more of a, at least not horrible consumer, even if it's not the healthiest consumer. Dutch Bros up 15%. Dutch Bros up 15%, which is not too bad. All right, AppLovin, let's see. Trump should be live in a bit. AppLovin, let me pull up their IR page. 77% revenue growth is pretty incredible. Oh, wow. Okay, hold on. So no. Okay, so 17%, whatever I reported at 17%, that was the wrong answer. 77% is the revenue. That also surprised. Like, why is App 11 growing 17%? That made no sense. Okay, 77% makes a lot more sense. Maybe it wasn't just me. Maybe all the brokerages at once reported 17% revenue growth. And that is what got the street to tank App 11. But it did, I mean, 77% revenue. App 11 still down 3%. So there's something the street didn't like. But maybe there was a bunch of brokerages that said 17% and the street just sold it off down 15%. Because, I mean, if it actually was growing 17%, given it's trading at this multiple, it would be justified to go down 15%. No, revenue's up 77. Net income's up 164. Revenue 1.25 billion versus 711 last quarter. Net cash, they have almost $1 billion in cash. Free cash flow, 768 million. They bought back 900,000 of their shares. And it looks like the quarter is relatively decent. Adjusted EBITDA is also up 99% year over year. These are incredible growth metrics. These are growth metrics for a company that deserves to get a multiple. So you got that one going green. We'll talk more about App 11, but yeah, maybe all the brokerages at once reported the wrong numbers, and that's why you saw 15% down on App 11, down about 5%. DraftKings right here still up 5%. Duolingo still up 21%. Fortinet's now down 2.3%. I think we looked at their numbers. Let me see if I can pull it up again. But Fortinet, no, we didn't look at their numbers. Okay, so Fortinet is beat by 8% on EPS, in line on revenue. 64 cents versus 59, 1.63 versus 1.63 on revenue. Revenue's up 14% year over year. EPS is up 12%. That stock down 2% after hours. That stock is down 2% after hours. ELF is down. It wasn't my dyslexia. It was the numbers that I was reading. But it kind of makes sense that maybe I got it wrong because the entire street got it wrong. If they why did they tank App 11 15%? Does anyone have a reason why it got tanked 50? Like, that made no sense. 77% revenue growth, almost 200% EPS growth, down 15. That's weird. It's very weird. ELF right here is now down. ELF was up 8, lost all of it. Lost all of it. That one is down. Trump is still not live yet. Trump is still not live yet. I will switch as soon as he's live, but he is not live yet. It is 17%, but 77% is only advertising. Well, that's not what their website says. Their website says revenue 77%. It doesn't say advertising revenue 77%. Unless I'm reading it wrong, you guys are seeing it in front of me. Revenue percentage change 77%. So I agree, it might be 17% on a certain metric, but that seemed to get reported as the overall revenue growth, which would have been horrible if that's what we had for App 11. Dutch Bros up 16%. Why is ELF down if it beat? Well, ELF missed on, or they came in line with EPS. They beat on revenue by 8%. It's not a really big beat. And also ELF is prone to dealing with some of the more tariffs in regards to their makeup products. Ulta Beauty, by the way, flat after hours as well. So ELF has had a rough couple weeks. That would be my logic for why ELF is taking a breather. Duolingo right here. Let's go to Duolingo's website and see what they got. Duolingo, it's the best performing stock after hours. Again, the reason I picked it in my draft was because of the growth. Obviously, I picked it at a bit high of a price, but the growth itself is not something to poo-poo at because they're growing like crazy. And I don't believe in that argument that AI is bad for language learning. It's like that should be a tailwind for them. And that should be giving them some momentum. All right, here we go. Let's see what we got on Duolingo. Is this the accurate one? I believe this is accurate. This says June 30th, but it also says Q2. Let me make sure we have the right one. Q2. Dude, I hate when companies don't use the fiscal year. They go off like some weird way to judge what quarter. NVIDIA does that too. It's always so weird. Oh, yeah, no, this is the right one. This is the right one. This is the right one. Okay, cool. This is the right one. This should be the right one. Let me just pull this up again. All right, cool. Q2. All right, here we go. Here we go. So let's see what we have on Duolingo. All right, so revenue growth is up 41% year over year. Daily active users up 40% year over year. Monthly active users up 24% year over year. Paid subscribers up 37% year over year. Total bookings up 40% year over year. Net income 84% year over year. Adjusted EBITDA 31.2% margin. I mean, it's just growth across the board. It is just growth across the board. We're halfway through 2025, and I'm happy to report another quarter of great results driven by product-led growth, a delightful learning experience, and fast iteration. Our user growth and engagement remained strong, and our subscription performance and profitability exceeded expectations. Based on this results, we're raising the midpoint of our full-year bookings guidance to 32% year over year. DAUs grew 40%, an impressive result given we've lapped Q2 2024 when DAUs grew 59%. In addition to the feature improvements and marketing, our growth is fueled by moments of delight that keep learners coming back. That's why we obsess over making the app more fun and enjoyable, from the lightning bolt when you ace a lesson or Eddie flexing triumphantly when you answer a hard exercise to the satisfying haptic when you nudge your friends. We've already shipped dozens of rewarding interactions this year, and while they may seem subtle, they compound into a product experience that's increasingly enjoyable. I do love when companies focus that deeply on the product. I mean, this was the Robinhood thesis, right? Like, people said UI is an emote, but they Robinhood really made UI the reason you don't leave, the user experience, and more people kept joining. Our new chess course has grown faster than any other subject we've launched, with over 1 million DAUs. Wow. And that's just on iOS and English. We have an exciting product roadmap ahead, including better content on intermediate learners and the ability to engage in matches against others. There you go. I mean, Duolingo deserves it. It's hard to bet against founders. You got a founder running Duolingo, and you got growth across the board up 20%, down from 540. Stock was kind of at the low for the year. They put up the numbers. They're up 20%. Not too bad. Airbnb is flat. Dutch Bros up 15. Honest now down 4. Fortinet's down 3. AppLovin. Why is this thing down 7%? That is so weird. That is so freaking weird. That doesn't make sense. AppLovin. That, like, there's got to be something or otherwise it was just priced to perfection. But this thing's down from 540 in February. It hasn't really had the recovery that a lot of the high beta stocks had after the Liberation Day stuff. So that is a bit weird. That one definitely is a bit weird. Trump and Apple are not live yet. We should be seeing him soon. And then we will get those results and see what they end up saying today. Upwork, I didn't even know Upwork had earnings today. Let me pull that up. Upwork's up 20%. This is a freelancer website. Upwork 19%. Let's see if we can get those numbers. This is a small company, if I'm not wrong. Market cap 1.5 billion. Yeah, it's not the biggest company in the world. Wow. Upwork revenue 1% year-over-year growth. I mean, you talk about a company that's getting disrupted by AI. It's not Duolingo. It's people that are just building their own logos with VO from Google versus paying a graphic designer in a different country to make them a logo. I mean, that to me is what's getting disrupted. Revenue is up 1% year over year. They have 796,000 clients, 24 cents of earnings, net income 32 million. That's up 47% year over year. Adjusted EBITDA of 57 million. I mean, not like a bad company or a bad quarter, but it's not a growth stock at 1% year over year growth. It is up 20%, likely got oversold going into the print. I feel like that's a little bit more of a company that could get disrupted with AI. All right, so we are still waiting on Trump. Let me see if he's live. I don't see him yet. Let's see. Is he here? No, he's not live yet. He's not live yet. Trump is not live. Celsius, that was down 5% yesterday. Celsius right here, flat on the day. Flat on the day. Oh, we got Costco July sales. Hold on. We got Costco July sales. That's another big thing for the consumer. Let's see. We got Root is up 13%. They also had earnings as well. Costco, here you go. July sales up 9% year over year, 8.5%, 20.89 billion. Not bad. Not bad. U.S. growth up 4.5%. E-commerce up 15%. Canada 9.1%. Other international 7.5%. Overall, you've got about $21 billion of revenue, or at least sales, for Costco in the month of July. So there you go. Virgin Galactic had earnings today. I didn't even know they had earnings. Okay, Q2 revenue, 406,000 versus 540. That's a miss. EPS, that's also a miss. Ticker symbol SPSE or SPCE. This stock is up 9%. $157 million market cap. All right. You got some green on Virgin Galactic, even though that's down. Even though that is down. Where do you get these instant EPSs? I need this for honest. I'll link the account that I use on Twitter. Alex, thanks for the $10 super chat. I will link this account. It's a really good account. They're like very quick on earnings. And so the account that I just linked right there in the chat, you can follow that and look at it. Comedy, thank you for the 50 super chat. Here for one lemonade share. I want to do a little bit for you, what you did for me with Pound Share. Appreciate you, Comedy. Thank you so much for the super chat. Lemonade, another good day, up 6%. Wow, beat 51, closed at 51 too. So Lemonade Bowl's got to be happy. That's up almost 40% in 2 days. off of a nice quarter, which is not too bad. Duolingo, is it going down? Is she going down? She was just up. She's all right. It was up 20%. Now it's up 15. You got some people taking profits now below 400. You might have some people looking at certain stuff they don't like. Again, 20% is really hard to maintain after hours. That's why when it was even holding 20 for the past 30 minutes, I was like, that's pretty impressive. So you got to see if that momentum can continue, but that one is getting a little bit of some pain. Jones says, can you please say hi, William? Hello to William. Thank you for being here. My grab average is 535 on the shares, 450 on my options. 535 on my shares, 450 on my options. Admit you own Duolingo? I do not. But I have it in the fantasy draft. The problem with how Steve made this Excel sheet, let me pull it up, is he doesn't take into account after hours pricing. So he's got to fix that. So I'll show you guys the draft, but it's not going to show after hours. So we have to fix that. Matt's up 13. Tanner's up 9.7. I'm up 8.7. Steve's down 0.06. And then Chris is down 1.85. So this will change based on the after hours on Duolingo, Dutch Bros, and App Lovin'. And when I get those updates, I'll show you guys the new stock draft rankings on that portfolio. Dutch Bros right here up 15%. Uber, it's not a typo on 20 billion. They're doing 20 billion on the buyback. So they are going to be buying back more shares. All right, Trump, let's see if he's live. He is not live yet. Let's get a little bit of coverage going into him live, but he is not officially live yet.
And Duolingo also soaring after a big beat on earnings. Revenue also ahead of the estimates. Third quarter sales guidance topping the street's forecast. And you can see those shares are up 14%. Well, President Trump is meeting with Apple CEO Tim Cook right now to discuss Apple's new $100 billion investment in the U.S. The stock posting its best day since May on the back of that news and the expectation of this announcement we should be getting sometime here shortly. Let's bring in Patrick Moorhead from More Insights and Strategy and CNBC's Steve Kovacs. Steve, you're sitting here on set with me. What are we expecting?
Refreshing my phone again and again, waiting for this press release to come from Apple, because besides that headline number that our Megan Casella brought us from the White House official saying $100 billion in additional investment over the next 4 years, where is that money going? We've heard Apple do this for many years, going back to 2017 in Trump's first term, saying we're going to invest this much in the United States and, you know, things like that. But we don't really see physical things being built in the same way that perhaps the president wants. We don't see manufacturing being added here. That $600 billion number, that is a great headline number. And I believe every bit of it that it is going to end up filtering through the economy in some fashion. But we shouldn't read it as that $600 billion worth of things being built in the United States. It includes so many things. Yes, it does include one factory. There's that one being built right now in the northwest side of Houston, Texas. But beyond that, it goes towards a lot of stuff. They could be counting things that they were already planning to spend. That includes, you know, paying app store developers for when they sell their apps on the iPhone App Store. That includes suppliers that already exist here. They did invest $500 million in that rare earth magnet company. That was a new thing that is happening to diversify the supply chain here in the United States. So we're going to be looking, when this release does come out from Apple, where that $100 billion is going, or is it more kind of...
All right, we got a Japan headline. U.S. to impose additional 15% tariffs on Japan imports. It will apply regardless of existing rates. All right, so that is interesting. 15% on Japan. I don't know if the Japanese are going to like that. I don't know if that was worked into the deal that we came up with 2 weeks ago, with Japan announcing the $550 billion investment. But that is a headline we got after hours. S&P 500 flat, not really moving based on that news.
Nebulous, like they've been giving us over the last several months.
Yeah, and I asked CEA Chair Steve Myron, Patrick, about this, and he basically said, I'm not going to front run the president, and the details are still being hashed out, and, you know, basically wait and see here. But how are you gaming this out? Do you think this could be a nebulous investment announcement, or is this the beginning of more made in America by Apple?
I am super skeptical here, and I feel like we've seen this movie before, right? People stand up, they get their pictures taken, make absurd dollar commitments that they may have already made before or would have made already, or may never happen. How soon we forget that 2 administrations ago, Foxconn got up and said they were going to make a giant flat panel display factory in the Midwest, which never happened. And recently we had the $500 billion Stargate announcement that maybe $30 billion in funding has been secured. The way that I view this is going to be an out for both Trump and Apple related to China and India tariffs.
I agree. I mean, we all know this is a publicity stunt to be able to make sure that both sides can get a quote unquote deal done to be happy. I do think Apple will maybe invest $100 billion in something meaningful, but they're not going to be making iPhones in the United States. We know that's not going to be happening. So whatever way they allocate the $100 billion to, I mean, hopefully it's good for the US economy, but this is more so a question of Apple getting rid of the tariffs and then Trump being able to look like he got something out of Apple in order to not tariff him, because Trump also doesn't want to tariff the iPhones by like 25% because he knows that's going to raise iPhone prices and that's not good for the American consumer either.
We're not going to see what really matters. We're not going to see iPhone assembly here. We're likely not going to see iPhone sub-assembly here, or iPads, or even for that matter, Macs.
So when you say an out, do you mean the idea that Apple's going to be largely shielded from tariffs for anything it imports from those countries?
Short answer is yes. And if you look at the last 3 or 4 administrations, Apple has been shielded not only from tariffs, but also legal judgments on IP that should have stopped iPhones being shipped into the US. So I think that, once again, we're probably going to see Vietnam, China, and Taiwan. We're going to see 0 tariffs based on this incremental $100 billion investment.
You got Secretary of State Marco Rubio talking about the Putin meeting that Trump will be having soon. Let's go to that, and then Trump should be live in about 5 minutes.
Day, but we got a lot of work ahead. There's still many impediments to overcome, and we hope to do that over the next few days and hours, weeks maybe.
Secretary, when Putin talks about ending the war, help me out? What does that mean, ending the war? Is that a ceasefire, which has been called for, and he never delivered on that? A troop withdrawal? Is there a peace deal at hand? I don't want to get ahead of the story, but I'm often asked, what does ending the war mean to Vladimir Putin?
Well, without getting into the details of what was discussed, because I don't want to imperil the progress that was made today, and I don't want to exaggerate it either, but I think we all understand a couple things. At some point, a ceasefire has to be a part of this process, because it is hard to negotiate details of a final peace agreement while you're shooting at each other. So I think you have to make enough progress with enough of an outline of how the war is going to end that then ideally puts you into a ceasefire position for a short period of time, and you use that time to finalize an end to the war.
Okay, we have the official Apple announcement. We got something official. They should be live very soon. As soon as they're live, I will switch over to Trump, but we have the official announcement. Let me just pull this up. Give me 1 sec. All right, here we go. Here is the announcement. So Apple increases U.S. commitment to $600 billion, announces American manufacturing program. American manufacturing program. Today, Apple announced a new $100 billion commitment to America, a significant acceleration of its U.S. investment that now totals $600 billion over the next 4 years. Today's announcement includes the ambitious new American manufacturing program dedicated to bringing even more of Apple's supply chain and advanced manufacturing to the U.S. through AMP. Apple will increase its investment across America and incentivize global companies to manufacture even more critical components in the United States. Tim Cook, today we're proud to increase our investments across the U.S. to $600 billion over 4 years. This includes new and expanded work with 10 companies across America. They produce components that are used in Apple products sold all over the world, and we're grateful to the president for his support. So not iPhones, but it looks like suppliers potentially of iPhones. Apple parts and components manufactured in the U.S. shipped to customers across the world. In fact, roughly 2/3 of the components made in the U.S. are exported to customers outside the U.S. Today, Apple partners with thousands of suppliers across all 50 states, supporting more than 450,000 jobs. In the next 4 years, Apple plans to directly hire 20,000 more, the vast majority focused on R&D, silicon engineering, software development, and AI and machine learning. Okay, so that is your announcement. That is basically what they're going to talk about as soon as they go live. I mean, let's get some sentiment on this. By the way, 40% of you said App Lovin would be the biggest outperformer after the bell. App Lovin's still down 7%. Is the Apple announcement legit? Or let's just say good. Do you think it's good? Do you think it matters? Actually, no, let's reword it. Let's do a rewording of that. That makes more sense. Let's do, is the Apple announcement important for Apple? Is the Apple announcement good for Apple stock? And I think that's actually the better question, because a lot of people have written off Apple stock this year, primarily because the growth is not there, even though they did have a good quarter. Redwire, by the way, space company, down 15%. I think this announcement should be good for Apple. But then again, you just don't know if that growth is going to matter, or that growth is going to meaningfully have any impact, or the 450,000 jobs are going to have an impact. Apple is down 0.5% after hours, so the street's not loving it. I mean, it was up 5% during the day, but we're not seeing a massive move after hours. We'll see when Trump and Cook are live. Duolingo now up 13%. It was up 24%, so it is going down a little bit after hours. Lyft down 5%. Joby down 2%. AppLovin still down 6%. Not sure why 6% is being erased from AppLovin. But it is getting hit. 51% of you say yes. 51% of you say yes, so 50-50 on if this is good for Apple stock. Lyft right here down 5%. Symbiotic down 12%. Dutch Bros still up 14%. Dutch Bros and Duolingo. Wow, Duolingo now 12.5%. Dutch Bros leading the way after hours. TSSI, that's down 15%. Honest down 9%. IONQ down 3%. It turned into a kind of bloody after hours. The only thing that's holding on is Duolingo, Dutch Bros, and DraftKings. I mean, everything else still pretty much getting hit. Trump's still not live yet. Still not live yet. This will help Apple avoid the tariffs, though, which is the most important thing. Amazon right here, flat after hours. Lemonade 51, S&P flat. Palantir 179.20, and then Nvidia 179.31. Upwork is up 20%. Yes, Upwork is a relatively small company, but that one also is a big green after hours. Okay, for all the people asking my thoughts on Chris's tweet, I already responded to it on the market open. I talked about my disagreement. Chris is still my friend. He will always be my friend. Just because we disagree on Palantir doesn't mean we're not going to be friends. You can be friends with someone you disagree with. I do, and I told him straight to his face. I texted him after the tweet he posted, and I said, Chris, I don't think that tweet was a good look. I said, I'm sorry. I think it makes you look salty. I think if you don't like Palantir's valuation, that's fine. But trying to attack the management team at this point is it's just weird. I don't know why you're doing that. And he said he's going to do what he does. So it is what it is. He's a big boy. He's an adult. I don't control him. But I did tell him to his face, I think that post is a very bad look. And I would not be posting that type of stuff and arguing with Palantir employees. Like, I don't think that's a good look at all. But he is who he is. He's his own person. And so, he's almost 40 years old. He's going to be his own person. I can't really change anyone and affect their own opinions. They got to be responsible for their actions. So those are my thoughts on it. But overall, I don't agree with what he posted at all. And I said why on the market open. Symbiotic right here. That one's still down. Duolingo losing a lot of its pump, bro. Losing a lot of its pump. It was up 24. Now it's up 9. I mean, it's hard to hold a 24% pump, but those numbers were not bad at all. So there might be something else in that quarter that the street doesn't like. I didn't see it on the first look, but probably on the call, we'll get some different numbers. Trump's still not live yet. Again, usually they're about 30 minutes late, so we might have 12 minutes left until we see Trump going live. Dude, we all have L's. Yeah, I mean, like, my thing is, like, if you don't like the valuation and you missed Palantir, then you missed it. Like, it is what it is. But I think going after Palantir and now trying to like get people to hear your perspective after you exited the stock $170 ago, it's not a good look for anybody. Like, it's like it would be this, like, it again. I've said this over and over again. People respect humility. If Grab doesn't work out in the next couple of years, I will admit it. And I think you guys will respect me being humble and wrong versus me trying to justify whatever irrational way to justify how I'm right, even when I'm wrong, right? You missed Palantir, you missed it. You're wrong. There's talking about someone having a watch. Like, I don't think, and I told Chris that. I was like, I don't think that's a good look. I just don't. But it is what it is. Everyone's going to be their own person. BMNR, is that green? That is green, up 15%. So, well, that was down a little bit after hours. Let's go a little bit more to Tom Lee. He did a bunch of podcasts today. He did one of the biggest Ethereum podcasts called Bankless. I actually interviewed David Hoffman on my show a couple weeks ago, and here's what he had to say about Ethereum as well.
5% of total ETH supply. So that'd be about 6 million or so ETH.
Yes.
You're at 833,000 now, but have gotten to that number in like 4 weeks. So you're moving very, very fast there. Are you serious about 5% of all ETH?
Well, MicroStrategy is 3.2% of the network's circulating supply right now. But, MicroStrategy wants to get to at least 1 million Bitcoin, which is about 5%. So they were buying basically 16 cents worth of Bitcoin a day, every day for the last 5 years.
By the way, Hood July metrics, August 13th, next Wednesday. Next Wednesday, we will get Hood July metrics. Just got the notification. So we should be seeing that next week, and we'll see how they did in July.
Bitmine, if you look at it from inception to now, has added about 80 cents to $1 per day in Ethereum. So it's about 12 times faster than MicroStrategy. So we would be on a path to get to 5%, presumably like at 12 times the speed of MicroStrategy. But it makes sense because, we would be a benevolent entity in the sense that Ethereum is a legally compliant blockchain, and everything that Bitmine is doing is keeping every single piece of the operations in the United States. So it is very compliant to what Wall Street and the US government would want to see in someone who's staking a lot of ETH.
He's bullish. He's bullish, and he's getting Wall Street, or he's trying to get retail to understand Wall Street's getting bullish on Ethereum as well. And that is your bull case for buying Ethereum. All right, so until Trump goes live, which we probably got at least 10 minutes, I would imagine. Let's go through some of these other headlines that we got, because I do have a bunch more headlines that we want to look at and we get to talk about in the morning. So Anduril, we looked at one of the co-founders yesterday who used to be early Palantir. Take a look at this. Anduril is committing its deep commitment to Taiwan. This week, we delivered our first tranche of Altria's loitering munitions and supporting capabilities, but built at risk before the contract was signed. This approach allowed delivery in just 6 months from contract signature, while Taiwan faces a 20 billion backlog in arms sales and years of delays. This is a very Palantir approach to business. Before Taiwan signs a contract to buy defense material, Anduril says, we're going to start working on it and we're going to deliver it before you even sign the contract, because we believe so much in the partnership. So this is why when these guys go public, I mean, they're going to 100 billion pretty damn quick. I just think you have a lot of people that believe in Anduril, believe in their mission. And the more momentum you see from mission-led founders that are running the company, the more aggressive you could see in terms of the multiple for retail that gets excited for that stock. So that's what we got on Anduril. Here's another stat. Citadel reported retail has been a net buyer in 27 of the last 28 trading days. So that is a pretty interesting piece of news. Retail is back. Retail took a little bit of a break, remember, back in June. May, there was some momentum from, or actually May and June is when retail took a break. April is when retail really bought the dip. April and March, retail bought 80 billion of stock. In May, it was about 25 billion. June, it was about 23 billion. And it looks like July, which were the last 27 trading sessions, retail is back. And it makes sense because July, we had a monster month, almost 3% up on the S&P 500. So you do have some momentum coming from retail as retail continues to buy into some of the strength. I showed this chart already, but just to go back to this chart, buybacks are starting to come in action. Again, we have about 160 billion of buybacks in the month of July. Pretty incredible. And so that also supported a lot of the momentum when it came to some of the aggression we saw. And then you had NVIDIA that posted this today. We're excited to mark another milestone in our collaboration with OpenAI, bringing in our developer communities to fuel breakthroughs in AI, graphics, robotics, and more. There's 4 million lifetime developers on the OpenAI platform within NVIDIA, 9 years of partnership, hundreds of millions of GPUs running NVIDIA CUDA across the globe, and 6.5 million developers using NVIDIA software. Yeah, retail took spring break. Exactly. They took spring break. So OpenAI, $500 billion valuation they got yesterday on the secondary markets. NVIDIA will be having a GTC event with Jensen in DC on October 28th. I mean, everything that we're looking at in regards to data center spend, the amount of money that these AI companies, XAI, Anthropic, OpenAI are spending just points to show that NVIDIA is continuing to gain more momentum, which is obviously very exciting for a lot of the AI names that are out there. Now, speaking of AI, AMD Barclays said, hey, we're taking it up to 200. They see strong AI trends driving data center strength. MI series hitting a $2.3 billion run rate, and client ASPs up 42% year over year. The company is benefiting from strong AI trends in the DC business. The company acknowledged that client pull-ins in their prior guide are flat in the second half, but is revising expectations for growth in Q3 and a flat Q4 off a higher base. There are multiple ways to win within this name in 26 as client and DC both hit their stride. So although you didn't get a ton of momentum today on AMD in terms of their price action, everything I saw from the street, including Barclays right here, was an upgrade on the stock to around 180 to 200. So you are still seeing momentum on AMD, even if the stock price right now is not necessarily reflecting some of that momentum. Trump and Elon not live yet. Let's get the update on that OpenAI $500 billion valuation, that announcement being reported by Bloomberg yesterday.
Will be bigger than that $1.5 billion, the amount of equity involved in the last employee share buyback. Part of why we're seeing that floor rise is simply timing. So OpenAI has a 2-year hold rule. As more time passes, more employees are eligible to sell. Now, the other big factor here is investors.
OpenAI is also releasing GPT-5. It's been 2 years since their latest model, GPT-4. GPT-5, Thursday, 10 a.m. Pacific, which will be 1 p.m. Eastern. I should probably be live for that. OpenAI will release GPT-5.
Demand. Now, even for OpenAI, this is moving very fast. Talks for the deal only started last Wednesday, which was...
I meant to say Tim Cook, not Trump and Elon. I'm so used to the bromance, Trump and Elon, but I meant to say Trump and Tim Cook. Trump and Tim Cook.
Right after the startup finalized allocations for the $8.3 billion primary round. Now, that round was 5x oversubscribed and left a lot of investors frustrated with how little they got. Now, normally, OpenAI waits months after announcing a raise to run a secondary sale, but this time they're moving much faster because of the overwhelming VC appetite. So the startup is effectively lining up new primary capital and an employee share sale in tandem, reflecting just how much investor demand there is to get in. Thrive Capital has been the most vocal about wanting this to happen and is currently the furthest along in talks to lead it. This shows SoftBank is also in a good place. That $40 billion raise announced in March raised a lot of eyebrows, especially with the valuation that was double from its last round. But now Masa is starting to look pretty wise given the demand and valuation that we're looking at now, Morgan.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts to me. Whether it's OpenAI or whether it's SpaceX, I'd probably put Stripe in this bucket, a number of others too. I mean, to me, one of the bigger stories here isn't whether OpenAI is going to go public anytime soon. It's how liquid these secondary markets have become. And when you do see...
And there's a lot of demand for these secondary markets. So on Duolingo, real quick, it looks like the reason they could be down, or one of the reasons they could be down from 24% to 11%, is their MAUs did decline quarter over quarter. It's up year over year, but it's down quarter over quarter. Joseph just tweeted, Joseph Carlson, this could be explained by the social media boycott. I didn't even know there was a social media boycott for Duolingo. Does anyone have a reason why Duolingo was boycotted? Duolingo. Wow, there's a bunch of articles on this. There was a boycott on Duolingo for social. Like, what? Why are people upset? Why are people boycotting Duolingo? People are upset about anything, dude. Wow, Fortinet. Why is that down 17%? What did they say? They had they came in line on EPS. They beat on revenue. They had to say something ugly to be down 17. I don't know if the call is happening right now. Goodness gracious. That's not good for CrowdStrike or Palo Alto. CrowdStrike down 1%, and then Palo Alto is also down 1/3%. Fortinet really getting wrecked after hours. And then Redwire, that's down 20% as well. Redwire going down 20% is not that bullish for Rocket Lab tomorrow. They're different companies, but still, you don't want to see space companies get hit that bad. And Redwire is down 25%. The CEO said they are using AI for human tasks. Yeah, that looks like some of the headlines on these articles. Duolingo goes rogue amid AI first backlash. Okay, so people started boycotting it because the CEO said they're going to replace some employees with AI. Okay. I mean, that seems like a sort of like a momentary thing. I think I think they will be able to survive people being upset because of that, especially as every company begins to embrace AI. But that goes to bolster the point of why Palantir, Karp, and Sham yesterday or 2 days ago on the call, they were talking about, hey, we're not trying to replace employees, we're trying to empower them. I mean, that's going to be a big theme that I think they focus on, because in the age of AI, especially to maintain good relationships with the government, You need to, the government needs to know that you're not just trying to ruin jobs or ruin the ability for people to have jobs and just increase shareholder profits. Because like if people don't have a job, things are not good if a lot of people have money or if some people have money and most people have no money because all the money went to shareholders and none of the money got distributed via labor. Like that's just not a good society to live in long term, especially if it's a massive, massive dichotomy between the wealthy and the poor driven by AI. So this is a technology that has to enhance human agency versus take it away. And I think that's going to be very important over the long term for the market to recognize on some of these companies. Trump is still not live yet. Should be going live probably in the next 5 to 10 minutes, but not live yet. Lyft also down 10%. Lyft also down about 10%. You have to buy assets in case that happens 100%. You have to. I mean, this is what I've been saying for a while. Like, it's just, this is my take on the AI doomerism stuff is like, look, government's got to figure out what goes on with jobs, but we as investors have to buy assets. Because although it's not going to be good if the asset owners are the ones that have all the wealth, especially in a hyperbolic sense, if AI really accelerates that dichotomy between asset owners and people that don't own assets, it's better to still be in the asset owner class, right? Like the government's gonna have to do something if jobs truly do get automated away, which I think is a bit of a doomer scenario. I don't think jobs are literally going, like, I think there will be some more jobs because of AI versus everything gets taken away. But it's better to own assets than not. And I think that's the most important thing for everyone to at least focus on if we do get that type of world. So that's what we got there. David, thanks for the $7. You need thicker glasses, Amit. I've had these glasses for like 2 years, dude. Maybe we need a new style, but I've had these glasses for a long time. Lulu is late. Thank you for the $5. Who's this Metallica who keeps saying Symbiotic? Is it not Symbiotic? That's their, that's their name, Symbiotic. Now, we didn't look at Symbiotic's earnings. Let me see if I can pull that up real quick. Down 14%. I know a lot of people don't own this one. I believe they do robotics, if I'm not wrong. So Symbiotics is a big one. Isn't the whole point of AI to replace humans? To an extent. But I also think there's a lot of enhancing parts of AI. Like FSD obviously is going to replace drivers. So yes, but there's other elements of AI that are going to be helping people. But it is an existential question. I mean, like imagine robotaxi succeeds with Tesla and Waymo. And I don't know, I'm just putting out a number. There's 100 million people that drive a car for a living and that goes away, which I don't think is happening anytime soon. But if it does, where's their income coming from? I mean, that is a big existential question that people have to ask themselves. And I think ultimately the government's going to need an answer for that. But you would want to own Tesla stock if that happens, right? So that's the most important thing. Revenue right here, 592 versus 533. That's a beat. And then EPS, -5 cents versus -1 cent. Oh, no, we did cover Symbiotic. Yeah, they missed EPS by 4 cents, I remember. So that's why Symbiotic's down. Down by about 15% after hours. TSM is up 6% after hours. No, it's not. TSM is not. Dude, what are you guys using today? Amazon's down freaking 15%. TSM's up 6%. There's a lot of glitches going on. Oh, it's Symbotic, not symbiotic? Oh. Well, I've been saying Symbotic. I've been saying symbiotic for like 3 years, bro. Can we just keep calling it symbiotic? Is that okay? Okay, I get it. I see all the comments. It's Symbotic. Dude, why does it look like symbiotic? I'm telling maybe I do have dyslexia. Maybe I do. I just have to embrace it, bro. I really just have to embrace it. I know I have dyspepsia, but I might also have dyslexia. Okay, so Trump is not live yet with Mr. Tim Cook. We got to see. Should be live very soon. Let's get some coverage on it, but we should be getting the announcement pretty soon.
The eventual goal of getting as many phones that they make there into the United States. They're still not there yet. They're not making enough to fulfill demand. That's still an ongoing process, but it will be ramping up. So in the meantime, some tariff relief. We'll see if there are any more details happening in this White House event that we're expecting to happen any minute now. But those are the highlights, Mel.
Steve, I'm curious, and I understand that there's a lot to unpack. The release
Yeah.
just came out, but what is your sense in terms of, the furthering of investment with these partnerships, with these partners? Does it take away dollars from others? In other words, is it moving dollars that would have otherwise been invested overseas someplace, moving it to the United States, but also inherently raising its costs because things will be more expensive here?
They do give one example of that, Mel, and that's that factory I was telling you about in Houston, Texas, making those AI servers. Previously, they say that work was being done overseas. Now it's going to be, next year rather, that's going to be happening all in Texas. So that is one example of that. But again, so many of the names listed in this press release are existing Apple partners. I just rattled off so many of them to you. They're already built into the iPhone and other Apple devices. So this is a lot of this is just a continuation of the agreements. But that's why I started off with Corning, because that is the one solid announcement and deal and expansion of something like a real building actually being built, an expansion of that, and eventually the idea of all that glass for Apple devices being made in Kentucky. So I wouldn't necessarily say, at least on my first pass of this, that it's taking away from other investment areas.
All right, Steve, thanks.
Sure.
Steve Kovac, and you see in the.
All right, we are waiting for Trump and Cook. They were supposed to go live 40 minutes ago. So we are going to wait until we see, again, this announcement. We already have the details. This is kind of just now what they have to do for the public in terms of making the announcement. And then we'll see what they have to say. Again, a little bloody after hours. I mean, the green is Joby, DraftKings, Symbotic is down 15%. Oxy's up a little bit. Duolingo's still up 14. AppLovin still down 4. Don't understand why. Zillow's flat. It was down 7. And then Dutch bonus. Airbnb, dude. Airbnb. We talked about this morning. Snapchat. You can guarantee it'll dump after earnings. What is wrong with Airbnb? Like, what is wrong with this stock? Brian Chesky is one of the best founders on the planet. This stock has been abysmal, like abysmal for shareholders. And they do $4 billion in free cash flow. Like, stock prices theoretically are a reflection of growing free cash flow. I don't know what the heck this stock needs to get some pep in its step. It's down 1% for the year. This has been a pretty big bull market. Since it went public, it's down 7%. Airbnb is supposed to be a household brand. Now, I know a lot of people don't like Airbnb and they had a bad experience with it. I get it. But, I mean, it's a pretty big company that consistently grow. What was their growth rates? Let's see what their growth rates were year over year. This stock has not been able to catch a bid. Not been able to catch a bid at all. And you would think as a consumer brand, it would, but just not. Revenue's up 13%. EPS is up 20%. Yeah, I mean, that's not the most exciting. I think the problem with Airbnb as well is they went public at a pretty egregious valuation. The bankers made a lot of money on Airbnb. I remember when it went public, just like they did on Figma. And Airbnb just hasn't really been able to, meaningfully perform since going public. Trump is not live yet. Nope, Trump is not live yet. We are still waiting, but he is not live yet. Screwing their customers, lawsuits pending. Yeah, but even with lawsuits, right? Like, even if there's some class action lawsuits, it's not going to be billions of dollars, maybe tens of millions they have to pay out. Unless there's some regulatory stuff around Airbnb that I'm not aware of. I know New York City was not the biggest fan of them, but every quarter these guys get hit. And they're about 6.75% on the day. I use 2 monitors. I use my laptop and I use my desktop. I also have an iPad, but I use my phone, but I don't use the iPad that much. Groupon, is that company public? Does anyone use Groupon? Holy crap, they're public. Groupon's up 11%, 1.2 billion. I think I used Groupon back in like 2012 or something. Groupon earnings. This is a website where it's like coupons and you can save on a lot of different deals. I believe they make money from companies giving them offers and then they make a commission on the offers. Revenue, 125 million. That's up 1% year over year. Gross billings, 416 million, up 12%. CEO says we're building a trusted destination for quality local experiences at unbeatable value. While we're still in the early innings of this opportunity, our marketplace health and platform velocity have established a clear pathway to sustained growth. Yeah, I don't know who's that excited about Groupon, but all right, there you go. Up 11% on the day. This stock, when did they go public? Google almost bought these guys a while ago. I remember that. Dude, they went public in 2011. They're down 90. What? What? These guys are down 94% all time. Year to date, they're up almost 155%. Okay, so they're down 94% all time on up 155% year to date, which is not horrible. Okay, I think Trump is going live. Is he? No, Trump is not live yet. They're waiting for him at the Oval desk. They're waiting for him there. He's not live yet. He's not live yet. Boomers love Groupon. I mean, my mom used to use it. That's how I got introduced to it, but I don't even think my mom uses it anymore. Like, she's not big into that anymore. Upstart was down 20% today. Okay, so their earnings were not horrible. They went up 20% yesterday, then they were down 7%. I did not look at them all day. They took a 18% haircut. Bumble had earnings today. I did not see that either. Bumble is down 11%. Okay, I'll try to get Bumble's numbers. Bumble is a dating app where girls send the first message. That is their appeal. Wow, they lost almost 400 million. Well, this was caused by a goodwill impairment charge. Okay, 404 million. So that's not the EPS loss. If that's taking it down, that's not really a reason for them losing money. Adjusted EBITDA 94 versus 88. Revenue 248 versus 245. That's a beat. Total paying users fell by 9% to 3.8 million. Net loss 367 million. Again, that net loss being accelerated through the goodwill impairment charge. But those are the earnings on Bumble. So there you go. All right, Trump still not live yet. Let's get a little bit more coverage, but we are waiting for him to go live.
In there as well. It's just been sort of floundering. It wins because it's in 420 something ETFs, of which it's one of the top 15 holdings. It wins to passive investing, but it loses in the valuation game in a major way, in my opinion.
Let's bring in Gene Munster of Deepwater Asset Management for more on Apple's latest investment. Gene, always good to get your take. I mean, it's, I would imagine, no coincidence that this announcement was made on the same day that the reciprocal tariffs on India were doubled, and yet Apple does have an exemption there. How much does that save Apple? And we're just trying to figure out what is that return on investment for that $100 billion?
It's a nice return because most of that $100 billion is not going to be spent by Apple. They're going to push that to their suppliers. They're going to ask for concessions. I think it's mixed to see what this means for the suppliers.
Gene, I'm going to interrupt you. President Trump has begun speaking. Let's listen in.
Legends of our time, my book. Before we begin, I'd like to say a few words about the shooting at Fort Stewart in Georgia. As you know, 5 people were seriously wounded and 2 very, very seriously hurt around 11 o'clock this morning. The shooter is now in custody, and the Army Criminal Investigation Division is on site to ensure that the perpetrator of this atrocity, which is exactly what it is, will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. The entire nation is praying for the victims and their families, and hopefully they'll fully recover. And we can put this chapter behind, but we're not going to forget what happened. We're going to take very good care of this person that did this, horrible person. This afternoon, we're pleased to welcome to the White House one of the great and most esteemed business leaders and geniuses and innovators anywhere in the world, Apple CEO Tim Cook. Amazing job. Thanks as well to Secretary of the Treasury Scott Bessent and Secretary of Commerce Howard Lutnick for being here, wherever you may be. Oh, there you are. Hello, fellas. I missed you. Today, Apple is announcing that it will invest $600 billion, that's with a B, in the United States over the next 4 years. That's $100 billion more than they were originally going to invest. And this is the largest investment Apple has ever made in America and anywhere else. And it's just an honor to have you. As you know, Apple's been an investor in other countries a little bit. I won't say which ones, but a couple. And they're coming home. $600 billion. It's the biggest there is. The company is also unveiling its ambitious new American manufacturing program, which will bring factories and assembly lines across our country all roaring to life. Areas that were not doing so well are doing very well. We have about $17 trillion coming into the United States, which is more than ever before. That's never even come close. There's never been anything like it. Even you, that's even a lot of money for you. But we have commitments of more than $17 trillion. That was as of a couple of weeks ago. These investments will directly create more than 20,000 brand new American jobs and many thousands more at the Apple suppliers like Corning, Broadcom, Texas Instruments, and Samsung, who all deal in that world. As part of this historic commitment, Apple will massively increase spending on its domestic supply chain for the iPhone and will build the largest and most sophisticated smart glass production line in the world in Harrodsburg, Kentucky, which is a great, actually, I did very well there. I like it because I see I did very well there. I did very well in Kentucky, but it's a great place. You're going to be very happy. I thought maybe while we're up, I'll interrupt my own speech by you might show them a little bit about the product that you're going to be doing in Kentucky, Tim.
Absolutely. Do you mind if I step up?
Yes, please.
This bond was made in the U.S., California, and this glass comes off the Corning line. It's engraved for President Trump. It's a unique unit of one. It was designed by a U.S. Marine Corps corporal, a former one, that works at Apple. Comes from Utah and is 24 karat gold, and it sits, I'll take the liberty of setting it up.
Wow.
By a U.S. Marine Corps corporal, a former one, that works at Apple now.
He's done well.
Designed it for you. And the base comes from Utah and is 24 karat gold, and it sits, I'll take the liberty of setting it up.
Do business too. It's fantastic. Isn't that nice? We're doing these things now in the United States instead of other countries, faraway countries. This is a significant step toward the ultimate goal of ensuring that iPhones sold in the United States of America also are made in America. With the mass infusion of capital it's announcing today, Apple will also build a 250,000 square foot server manufacturing facility in Houston and invest billions of dollars to construct data centers across the country from North Carolina to Iowa to Oregon. That's big stuff. Apple will also open state-of-the-art manufacturing economy. It's going to be a manufacturing academy in Detroit, and that's a great place to do. Well, you know, big things are happening in Michigan and Detroit. They're coming in because of what we've done with the, I call it the great, big, beautiful bill. I added one word, great. But we have probably the biggest, most comprehensive piece of legislation ever passed. It's going to mean unbelievable numbers of jobs and no jobs on, think of this, whether it's tips or overtime or Social Security, no tax. So no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime. And there's just a small bit of it. For Apple and others businesses, we're talking about the deductions and all of the things. And actually for people that go out and buy a car, first time it's ever been done, we talk about deductions for companies, but they're going to be able to deduct interest when they borrow money to buy a car if it's made in America. It has to be made in America. So it is amazing. And one of the reasons I think I can say that Apple's coming here is the legislation we just passed with this kind of investment. Apple will also open other facilities, rare earth magnets from Texas, and build, oh, I love that you're doing this. I love that. I love that. And build a brand new rare earth recycling line in Mountain Pass, California. I know that area. That's where they have a lot of truly rare earth. That's fantastic. I love that. And Apple will help develop and manufacture semiconductors and semiconductor equipment in Texas, Utah, Arizona, and New York. For years, Americans have watched as many of our leading tech giants built their factories overseas and exported American jobs abroad. But under the Trump administration, we're doing everything possible to make this the best place on earth to build a factory or grow businesses. I'm allowing them to build electric producing plants with their factory, because otherwise they'd have to hook into the grid. And I think it's one of the biggest things we've done, where you can build, Tim, your own electricity. You become your own electric manufacturer, and that goes along with the plant. So you become a utility. So congratulations, now you're in the utility. I hope they don't value your company based on utility, but that's okay. You're going to be making your own electricity. And as you probably know, for much of this and many of the things that we're doing, especially the AI, they would need actually double the electricity that the country now produces for everything. So it's massive electric, and they're going to be able to make their own, and they're getting very fast approvals. Lee Zeldin is doing a fantastic job, including with a 100% expensing on the one big, beautiful bill. In return, we're asking our businesses to invest in America, and they're coming in at levels that we've never seen before. So I don't know when it shows up, but there are a lot of factories and a lot of plants that are either under construction or soon will be starting construction. So can't tell you exactly when, but I want to be around in about a year from now and 2 years from now, because we're going to see an explosion, I think, like this country has never seen before. Never. Today's announcement is one of the largest commitments in what has become among the greatest investment booms in our nation's history. And we've got the hottest country anywhere in the world. You know, I told you the story that, and Tim, I'll tell you, but I went to the Middle East and I was with Qatar, I was with UAE and the King of Saudi Arabia, all great leaders. And then I went to NATO and saw many great leaders, and we just finished that about 4 weeks ago. Everyone, virtually everyone, said, in effect, that we were a dead country 1 year ago. America, this was a dead country. We were dying, we were dead. And now you've got the hottest country anywhere in the world. This would have never happened except for certain people. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. NVIDIA is investing $500 billion to go along with Apple, $600 billion. $600 billion. Micron, great company, is investing $200 billion. IBM is investing more than $150 billion. SoftBank is investing substantially more than $100 billion. TSMC is investing $200 billion. Johnson & Johnson, $55 billion. Merck, Stellantis, and General Motors are putting many, many billions in. They haven't determined the final number. And many other countries are investing tens of billions of dollars. And I'm not going to give you the whole list because the list is too long to read. But it's hundreds of billions and even trillions. I mean, it's trillions of dollars is being invested right now. Last week, it was announced that our economy grew at 3% in the second quarter, and consumer confidence is surging. Blue-collar wages are rising rapidly. Costs are way down. You know, I listen to these horrendous frauds on CNN and various other fake news networks, and they say costs are up. No, costs are down. Gasoline is down. It's going to soon, I believe, be less than $2 a gallon. It's around $2.40 right now, many places other than California where they tax you out of business, but and a couple of others. But gasoline is way down. The price of groceries are down. How about eggs? When I first came here, my first week, the press hit me very hard on eggs. Eggs had quadrupled or something. I said, I didn't know about it. Give me a chance. I've just been here for 4 days. Well, eggs are down. Everything's down. Price is down. The only thing that's up is stock prices. That's really up, and that's through the roof. The stock market has been hitting all-time records, all-time highs. Last week, it was announced that our economy grew at levels that we haven't seen in a long time. But the real levels of growth are going to be judged in a year from now when you start seeing some of these incredible plants, because we have car plants opening. They're coming in from Canada, from Mexico, and from all over the world. And they're coming in because they like the way the election worked out, but they also like the fact that they don't want to pay tariffs. And the tariffs, I think, will be we're taking in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs. I won't be so specific other than to say, because we don't even know what the final number is. We just made a deal, as you know, with the EU, where they're paying hundreds of billions of dollars, Japan paying hundreds of billions of dollars, and numerous other countries paying hundreds of billions of dollars. And we're not even completed there. And as you know, they found 25 billion 3 weeks ago. They said, we have a surplus of $25 billion. And they said, where did this come from? I said, check the tariffs. And they checked. They said, you're right. That's where it came from. And we've really just started. This is just in its infancy. So we have a great country. We have a country that is going to be very rich. It's a country that we're very proud of, but it's going to be very rich. And it's companies like Apple, they're coming home. They're all coming home. And we want them to come home. They have to come home. We're going to treat them really well. We're going to be putting a very large tariff on chips and semiconductors. But the good news for companies like Apple is if you're building in the United States or have committed to build, without question committed to build in the United States, there will be no charge. In other words, we're not going to be charging. So a lot of countries, a lot of companies are leaving various other places and they're coming to the United States. So in other words, we'll be putting a tariff on of approximately 100% on chips and semiconductors. But if you're building in the United States—
Did you just say 100%?
A lot of companies are leaving various other places and they're coming to the United States. So in other words, we'll be putting a tariff on of approximately 100% on chips and semiconductors. But if you're building in the United States of America, there's no charge, even though you're building and you're not producing yet in terms of the big numbers of jobs and all of the things that you're building. If you're building, there will be no charge. So I just want everyone to know.
There's no way he's serious about that. NVIDIA, TSM, we don't make enough chips in America. There's no way, after all the export controls, after all the talks with Jensen was at the White House today. I think there might be some exceptions for NVIDIA, AMD. They're down after hours on this, but I don't think he's actually serious about that. It just doesn't make a lot of sense.
That, and I didn't even tell you that inside. We discussed the concept, but I didn't. So
if he is serious about that, not good for the semis. NVIDIA down 1.4 after hours.
So it's a big factor. So 100% tariff on all chips and semiconductors coming into the United States. But if you've made a commitment to build, or if you're in the process of building, as many are, there is no tariff. Okay? If for some reason you say you're building and you don't build, then we go back and we add it up, it accumulates, and we charge you at a later date. You have to pay, and that's a guarantee. So that's a big statement, and I think the chip companies are all coming back home. They're all coming back. You know, we started with Intel, and gradually Intel was just taken over the coals. They were taken to the cleaners, frankly, and moved to other places, in particular Taiwan. But I think a lot of those companies are coming back, and they're coming back very rapidly. So that's a big statement. 100% tariff. I want to thank you very much. Tim, would you like to say a few words about your company, please?
Good afternoon, everyone. Mr. President, thank you very much for having me here today. You've been a great advocate for American innovation and manufacturing. I'm grateful for your leadership and your commitment.
It is time to see Tim Apple kiss the ring.
That's a commitment we share at Apple, because American innovation is central to everything we do. Our products are designed here, we're hiring and growing here, and we support 450,000 jobs with thousands of suppliers and partners in all 50 states. Earlier this year, we made our largest ever spending commitment, $500 billion to the U.S. over the next 4 years. That's already yielding results. Earlier this year, we broke ground on a new factory in Houston to make advanced AI servers. And just last month, the very first test unit rolled off that factory's line, proudly made in America. President Trump shared some kind words about that work, but he also asked us to think about what more we could commit to doing. And Mr. President, we took that challenge very seriously. I'm glad to be here with you today, and I'm very proud to say that today we're committing an additional $100 billion to the United States, bringing our total U.S. investment to $600 billion over the next 4 years. As a part of this, we're launching Apple's American Manufacturing Program. It will spur even more production right here in America for critical components used in Apple products all around the world. And we're thrilled to announce that we've already signed new agreements with 10 companies across America to do just that. First, with today's announcements, I'm proud to say that Apple is leading the creation of an end-to-end silicon supply chain right here in America, from design to equipment to wafer production to fabrication to packaging. In Texas, we're working with manufacturers like Texas Instruments, Global Wafers America, and Applied Materials. We're working with Amcor in Arizona and Broadcom and Global Foundries in New York. Thanks to President Trump's vision, and with his help in his first term, we also led the way to bring TSMC to Arizona by committing to be their first and largest customer. Today, they're producing tens of millions of chips for Apple using one of the most advanced process technologies in America today. We're going to keep working with our suppliers to move even more of this incredibly advanced work to America. And this year alone, American manufacturers are on track to make 19 billion chips for Apple in 24 factories across 12 different states. Second, we're committed to buying American-made advanced rare earth magnets developed by MP Materials, which will become part of Apple's devices shipped around the world. MP is the only fully integrated rare earth producer in the United States, and with this partnership, they'll be significantly expanding their flagship facility in Fort Worth, Texas. We're also thrilled to work together on a cutting-edge rare earth recycling line in Mountain Pass, California. And third, in Kentucky, we've worked with our partners at Corning to build the world's largest and most advanced smartphone glass production line. And I'm pleased to announce that very soon, this is for the first time ever, every single new iPhone and every single new Apple Watch sold anywhere in the world will contain cover glass made in Kentucky. In addition to the American Manufacturing Program, we're also significantly growing our investments in AI, including expanding data center capacity in North Carolina, in Nevada, in Iowa, in Arizona, and Oregon. So we're going to keep making investments right here in America. We're going to keep hiring in America. And we're going to keep building technologies at the heart of our products right here in America, because we're a proud American company and we believe deeply in the promise of this great nation. Thank you all, and thank you, President Trump, for putting American innovation and American jobs front and center. Thank you, sir.
Great honor.
Thank you.
Very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. What a job he's done. What a job. Incredible. I want to thank you very much. And thank you, JD, for helping along. Good job. Really good job. Any questions, please?
Mr. President,
yes.
You promised on the campaign trail to bring forth a manufacturing renaissance. You just mentioned $17 trillion in your first 7 months or so.
Right.
Can you talk about how an investment like this, all the other ones that you laid out, will positively impact the millions of Americans that trusted you with their vote?
Thank you very much. It changes our country. I mean, our country is a very different country than it was 6 months ago. And people like Tim are coming. We had Micron in yesterday. We had all of the big, great companies that you read about, you don't know about, but you read about. Many of them were making products outside of our country. Foolishly, we lost them. If we had the right person sitting in that seat, that would have never happened 20 and 30 years ago. When you look at the chip business, it would have never left our shores. We had 100% of chips originally, and then we slowly got taken down to nothing. We have the biggest chip companies, to both of them, but we have the biggest in the world coming in. They're going to Arizona and beyond. And we're going to have, in a short period of time, we'll be up to almost 50% of the chips from starting in nothing. And that's something. But we have the greatest companies in the world coming into our country. And that means jobs, and it means wealth. And wealth means security for our people. Okay, Brian.
Yes, sir. Congratulations on this investment, President Trump. And
Thank you.
With a great example of putting America first. What does the labor force look like to fill these jobs that you have? Do we have enough skilled American workers to fill these?
Well, we do have a lot of workers, and we have a lot of workers that hadn't been looking for work because they were disincentivized, frankly. And people like Tim have tremendous schools and training centers that they build along with a lot of their big plants where they train people on whether it's glass, like in Kentucky, or computers, or whatever they might be doing. It's a complex world, and they train people, and they do a great job. So it's a whole new workforce. Now, we have a lot of them in energy because, you know, they've always liked energy. As you know, coal has opened up big. We brought it back and brought it back in a very large way. You know, China's right now building 58 coal-fired plants, 58 big ones. And here we were saying we don't take coal. We have more coal than anybody else in the world. We have more oil and gas than anybody else in the world. But we have tremendous energy jobs. And the energy, as you know, we're booming with energy. And that's why the gasoline prices are down. The costs are down. I just hope when they watch these shows, I watch this, I won't use names because I just make them better known that nobody knows who they are. But I watch this group of people on CNN and MSDNC too, the same thing, where they say, well, costs have gone up. Costs haven't gone up, they've gone down. I'm telling you, the thing that's gone up is stock prices and success of our country. Our country is really, really doing well, successful. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Mr. President, have Putin and Zelensky agreed to a summit yet? And where and when would that be?
Well, there's a very good prospect that they will. And we haven't determined where, but we had some very good talks with President Putin today. And there's a very good chance that we could be ending the end of that road. That road was long and continues to be long, but there's a good chance that there will be a meeting very soon.
How close do you think you are to a deal?
Excuse me?
How close do you think you are to some kind of deal?
Well, I don't want to say. I've been disappointed before with this one. You know, we've solved 5 wars, plus add to that Iran, where we wiped out their nuclear capacity for weapons. They would have had a weapon within 2 months, maybe less. And that was totally obliterated. It turned out it was a total obliteration. And the pilots and the people that did that job are really, we have the greatest armed forces in the world, but that was really something. In fact, there's a model of the plane right there. So, you got to bring that up, Susie. We have to see that. Look at this. This was just given to me. You know, we ordered brand new B-2 bombers. This is a plane that over a period of 36 hours of constant flying. Look at this. So this is the brand new one they just ordered. Similar, but actually quite different. It's new and enhanced. It's an amazing machine. It went 36 hours. We had 52 tankers up in the air loading up our planes because this was surrounded by F-22s and F-35s, and it was flawless, Tim. Even you would say it was flawless. And every one of those bombs hit their target. And then we had Tomahawks shot in from a submarine 300 miles away, and they hit every single Tomahawk hit its target. It was amazing. And that was a big threat. That was a nuclear threat. And here's the new one that we just ordered, a large number of them. I'll put it up.
Mr. President, what was the breakthrough today? Did Vladimir Putin make some kind of concession that he hasn't been willing to make before?
I don't call it a breakthrough. I mean, we've been working on this a long time. There are thousands of young people dying, mostly soldiers, but also, you know, missiles being hit into Kiev and other places. But in terms of soldiers, I think Russia's lost over 20,000 since the beginning of the year, 20,000. And I guess the estimate for Ukraine is about 9,000. It's a terrible situation. We want to get it stopped. You know, we don't have American soldiers there, but I feel I have an obligation to get it stopped. This was not my war. This war would have never started, not even a chance. And it didn't start for 4 years. It went 4 years and didn't start. But this is Biden's war. This was on his watch And, it's funny. We had no land was taken from Trump. It was taken from Bush. It was taken from Biden. The whole thing they would take from Biden. It weren't for us. But it was taken by Obama. Take a look at what was taken with all of the land that was taken. Nothing was taken by Russia from us. Not 1 ounce of land was taken. I'm here to get the thing over with. It would have never started if I were president, and we're here to get it stopped and get the death stopped. Yeah, please.
President, in the past, you said you would know if Putin was tackling you along. What gives you any confidence that?
That was President Trump and Apple CEO Tim Cook talking about the iPhone maker's newly announced investment.
All right. Well, that's it. So the big headline right here was the semiconductor investment or the semiconductor tariff. But yeah, it doesn't look like NVIDIA will be affected because of the fact that they were making an investment in the US. Now, granted, Trump's wording around this is really weird. He says you have to be producing your chips in the US. That is, from what I think I heard explicitly what he said. NVIDIA is not producing all their chips in the US. Now, they've committed to making an investment, but that investment doesn't mean they're building all their GPUs in the United States. So I guess NVIDIA is going to be exempt from this. That's why NVIDIA is not really tanking after hours. AMD was down a little bit. AMD's down 0.5%. It was down 1.3%. NVIDIA was down almost 2%. NVIDIA now is green after hours. So market's obviously not caring that much about it. But this is Trump, right? He gives you a headline, creates some shock in the market, gets people to think. You got the algos going crazy because the algos don't understand the nuance of what he's actually talking about. And, then you have to engage in trying to figure out exactly what the argument is that Trump is trying to make. Micron right here after hours. That one's starting to go up a little bit. So all the semis starting to recover. He did announce explicitly Micron will be investing $100 billion. So, all the companies that he said would be investing money, those are going up. Broadcom after hours. Materials is also up. MP. Broadcom's down a little bit. MP, this thing is up 300% year over year. They got strategic investments by the DoD, by Apple, and Bank of America raised their price target today of Materials Corporation. They said they're an unmatched vehicle for exposure to rare earths, significantly increasing its earnings estimates on the back of the binder's recent deal with the Defense Department. The bank hiked its price target for MP ahead of the company's second quarter to $78. About 15% upside for MP. Again, rare earth mineral is one of the most important parts of the supply chain for all of the technology products that we have. So it makes sense that stock is getting some love. But it's gotten a lot of love. Again, 311%. And now up 5% after hours. Yeah, Tim Cook said they started. Okay, so I don't think it's AI servers in Kentucky. He said the glass on a lot of these AI products, or not AI products, but overall Apple products, are now going to be made in Kentucky. I will try to get the exact quote again, but he said a lot of products will be manufactured in Kentucky. And that gift that he gave him, apparently that gift was one of the first things that was made in Kentucky.
Yes, please.
It's hard to hear him, but this thing right here that he's presenting, that was made in Kentucky with Apple Glass. So it seems like a lot of products, including the watches and the phones, are now great. Yeah, servers in North Carolina, correct. Servers in North Carolina. Also, they're building a manufacturing academy in Detroit. So you got that from Apple. And you have a 250,000 square foot facility in Houston, Texas. So you got that from Apple as well. Apple stock after hours, about 213.50. 213.50 is what you got. I didn't know Kentucky makes a glass like that, but I guess so. So that's what you got. Look, the announcements here, if they actually materialize in the way that they were presented, it feels bullish for America. It feels like there's a lot of new facilities, a lot of new jobs, obviously a lot of new investment happening. I also think that the reason for this was to make sure that they could easily justify not having to pay the tariffs, because if you're making these investments, that's why NVIDIA is not paying the tariffs, TSM is not paying the tariffs, Intel, IBM, AMD, they're not paying the tariffs if you make investments in the States, and that's what Apple committed to today. And Tim Cook is being a politician here, right? He's navigating the waters of dealing with Trump, giving him what he wants, and being able to commit and try to find a way to allocate. Apple has $100 billion in cash. They have plenty of cash to be able to use It's just a question of how they deploy it and allocate it in order to help them get out of tariffs. And it looks like that's what we got. Duolingo after hours. This thing was higher. Duolingo 413. We were at almost 430. Still green after hours, which is nice. Well, no, now it's up 20%. 430. So it was up 24% at 433. It went down to 11%. Now it's back to 20%. By the way, Duolingo CEO, apparently they do the earnings call on video. Apparently they do it on video. So you got more companies that are, I just saw a screenshot of the video call. So it looks like you have more and more of these companies that do it via video. All right, there you go. I mean, look, if you own Apple, you got to be happy about it. Apple right there, 214.50. NVIDIA basically flat after hours. AMD is also flat. MP Materials, that one's up very nicely, up 6.5%. And then overall earnings today, Redwire down 25. That's not the best look for Rocket Lab. Fortinet down 17. Joby's down 1%. Lyft down 5. Symbotic down 12. DraftKings up 3. Oxy up 1. Duolingo up 20. AppLovin tried to go green, still down 2. Airbnb down 6. TSSI down 15. Honest down 7. IONQ down 5. And DoorDash, are we still up 3 on DoorDash? We are up 7 on DoorDash. Yeah, USAR, that's another ticker. I don't know if these are buys now, though, guys. Like USAR and MP, I mean, they really had a hell of a run. And I'm not that well versed in rare earth minerals. But USAR is up 40% in the past month. MP is up 300% the past year. I mean, or year to date. Just to know if getting in right now makes the most sense. But if it's kind of like a 5-year trajectory, rare earth minerals are not going anywhere. So that might be a very crucial part to the broader AI build out as well. Duolingo right here up 20% after hours. Fortinet is down 15. I don't know why Fortinet's down this much. That it was their earnings. I'll go through their numbers. It doesn't seem like it deserves to be down 17. But that one is down 17. Are you looking into any cybersecurity stocks? I am not. I would buy Crowd if I wanted to really get exposure. I just think they're the best ones that can grow. But if you also just want to own cybersecurity, Hack is an ETF, HACK. That one gives you full exposure. I think cybersecurity is going to get a natural tailwind. I just think there's other opportunities that are exciting outside of cyber. Like I'd rather own more NVIDIA than CrowdStrike right here. Just, again, it's really hard to bet against that growth. Apple 215 after hours, and that growth is something that I think investors are going to care about over the next 5 years as well. Also, we're seeing consolidation in cyber with some of the acquisitions. Okay, so the S&P 500 on Friday, I got an update on that. So let me just read the update from what I read today. Kramer did a whole segment on Palantir. I saw one of the quotes. Apparently, Kramer said Palantir is super undervalued here. It's Kramer, dude. It is Kramer. So Barron's reported today that they received a notice. They can't confirm it was from the S&P Dow Jones, but that's what it looks like. And basically the notice said that Paramount's Class A voting shares will be removed from the S&P 500, but the rest of the voting shares will still stay, and that they have no intention to remove Paramount from the index itself. So based on what I read today, it does not look likely that Friday we are going to get the S&P 500 opening up a spot. September, you have a better shot with some of these companies getting out. But again, this could be wrong. It's not an official notice from the Dow Jones Index, but it does feel a bit unlikely. I feel like we would have got an announcement by now from the S&P that they're going to be rebalancing, and we haven't got that official announcement. So maybe it happens on Friday, but I would say more likely it's not going to happen. And if it doesn't, then it doesn't happen. Greg, thank you for the $10 super chat. Been watching you since May. My investment account just surpassed 100,000. Next goal is 1 million. Many thanks to you and the guests you have here. Really glad I found this community. Greg, thank you for being here, brother. Really appreciate the super chat, and congrats on 100K. 100K is not easy, and that first 100K is always the hardest, but once you get above it, it feels a lot easier. So congratulations on that. And yeah, next step is a million. I feel like it goes 50K, 100K, 500K, million. That's kind of like the main milestones that people look for. And then after a million, I guess it's 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you keep going from there. Apple right here, 216 after hours. Street's liking it. Street seems to be liking it. Let's see if we can get a little bit more coverage on this Japan tariff stuff as well. That came out of nowhere, fifth hand. Oh, look, Tim Cook's still taking, or not Tim Cook, Trump is still taking questions. So he's still live, but Apple Street's liking it. Street is liking it. Let's get some of this coverage right here, and then we'll keep going from there.
The details of the Apple investment going into this. So the newest piece of news that we got from that was the president floating that he's looking at tariffs of approximately 100% coming in, tariffs on all semiconductors imported into the United States. He did caveat that just a little bit, saying that any companies that are making a commitment to build or are already building in the U.S. would potentially be exempt from that, but 100% tariffs on all chips coming into the U.S. would have major impact on the industry and of the many, many end users, as you know, of foreign-made chips. So we do have to wait and see. That's a result of the national security investigation on Section 232 that is still ongoing, but I had been told to anticipate that potentially wrapping up sometime this month. So for the first time there, the president telling us what sort of tariff he's considering, now saying up to 100%. I will say we could see exemptions on that, so we'd have to wait and see. But we also could see it being broader than just semiconductors and actually hitting derivative users or derivative products that contain semiconductors as well. So potentially big news there coming out of this Oval Office spray, Melissa.
All right.
Yeah, again, as soon as it broke live, right, it felt like he was trolling. It felt like it wasn't serious. Like, if the caveat is if you commit to investing, well, a bunch of these companies have committed to investing, including NVIDIA and AMD. So you're likely not going to get that much pain associated with this new quote unquote tariff on semis and some of the major semiconductor companies. Duolingo right here, still up 20% after hours. Apple really getting some love, folks. This is the best day for Apple in after hours and intraday since May, up almost 7%, 216 on Apple. 216 on Apple. Kavio says, I also committed. Yes, I also committed to investing in the United States. Now I need a tax exemption or something. Now I need a tax exemption. TSM, is that moving up after hours? TSM, wow, TSM 2.3. All the semiconductor stocks are loving it. Trump says 100% tariff. Street freaks out for like 20 minutes after hours. Then the clarity comes in. Street goes back up. I mean, we got 3 years of this, folks. You got to enjoy it while it lasts. You got to enjoy it while it lasts. We have the commander-in-chief. By the way, I was reading some stuff yesterday. Apparently Trump, Texas Instruments as well, up 3% after hours. Apparently Trump is going to be endorsing, very preliminary, but there are rumors going around that Trump is going to be endorsing a Vance Rubio 2028 Republican ticket. Vance Rubio. Which makes sense because literally Vance and Rubio would try to make sure that nothing that Trump did in his last term as president gets erased, because if you have some other wild card Republican or you have some Democrat, I mean, a lot of this stuff, this tariff stuff is not the law of the land. It can get changed very quickly. So in 4 years, if you have someone else who just doesn't like tariffs anymore, boom, it's gone. But Vance and Rubio probably would try to maintain his legacy. And so I guess in 2028, we're going to see how that plays out. Lyft right here, still down 4%. And then Joby. Joby is down 1%. Let's get a little bit more coverage on Apple. Let's see what Mr. Gene Munster has to say about it. He has been bullish on Apple all year. Here's his take on that announcement.
They're not going to be tariffed. And I would, just given the context of the conversation, I think that one of the key tips on their side, it's not on Apple's side, on the supplier side, if that doesn't happen, it sounds like there's going to be some sort of a clawback for the tariffs that aren't there. So at the highest level, I don't see this as any operational change. I see this as yet another stroke of genius from Tim Cook at navigating a pretty unpredictable environment. But from like a margin perspective or like a substance of how Apple does business, they're still going to be assembling these in other countries, still be very dependent upon China and India.
Right. Gene, thanks for sticking with us.
All right. Tim Cook kissed the ring, and as a result, his stock is up 6% on the day. Wow, Apple 218, baby. 2.4%. Again, I don't own it, but I have it in my draft. I gotta tell Steve to update this thing. Does anyone know the Excel formula for updating stocks after hours? Like, how do we do that? Is there a way to do that? Is anyone an Excel wizard? This it's Google Finance is the. Hold on, let me see. I think someone sent me a link a while ago. They made like a little website for our stock draft. Let me see if that has the updated after hours. Let me see. Let me see if I can find it. I would really want to see what it looks like after hours. Let's see if I can pull this up. Apple right here, really getting some love, dude. Almost 220, 218.90 after hours. Let me pull this up. Wow, dude, it might hit 220. It might be trying to go to 220. Does this thing, okay, I have the website, but does it show after hours? No, it doesn't show after hours. I need to see. Let me see. SPY's moving up too. Well, if Apple's moving up, SPY's going to move up. If Apple's moving up, wow, S&P's almost 633. Yeah, I mean, you're going to get that. You are going to get that, given how much Apple is apart. By the way, I'll be doing a Twitter Spaces at 8:30 with GoCarp, aka Adam. He is he's a friend of the channel. He's very deep into Palantir's government business. So I will be doing a Twitter Spaces with him tonight. And we will be talking all things Palantir earnings. So we'll be talking about that as well. Trump's market once again, correct. Wild. Oh, I think I got it. Does this have after hours? Let's see. Does this guy have after hours? Let me see. I don't think it does. No, I don't think it does either. All right, so we're gonna have to wait. We're gonna have to wait. Yeah, we're gonna have to wait. All right, so we'll wait till tomorrow. We'll update it after hours. We need to fix that because we got to see it all the time. But yeah, dude, this is great for the S&P. This is great for the S&P. Apple already added $230 billion in market cap with a $600 billion investment announcement. Yeah, it's like when Spotify announced $100 million for Joe Rogan back in 2020. Their stock gained $5 billion on that announcement in market cap. I remember seeing it after hours, and $100 million for $5 billion is not a bad ROI. So, was not the worst thing. Earnings tomorrow also are going to be a ton. Apple's really going for it after hours. Earnings tomorrow, we got a lot, even though today was a lot. Tomorrow morning, you have Eli Lilly Pharmaceutical. You have Celsius, D-Wave, Quantum, Datadog, Crocs, Warner Brothers, Peloton, Yeti. I know Dumb Money likes that. Hertz, Shark Ninja, Hut 8 Mining, Brookfield, Solar Edge, and Papa John's Pizza. After the close, you have SoundHound, Trade Desk, Block, SMR, Pinterest, Twilio, Monster, Serve Robotics, CleanSpark, Instacart, MP, Kratos, Rocket Lab, Texas Roadhouse, Wynn Hotels, Sweetgreens, Dropbox, ABCL, GoDaddy, and Take-Two. So, and Atlassian. So you got a lot of companies after hours tomorrow that we'll be seeing as well. Man, market likes it. Google Finance API doesn't provide it. You would have to do some screen scraping. Okay, cool. So, all right, so we'll wait till tomorrow when it opens up. And we'll see. But Dutch Bros is great for Matt Money. AppLovin is kind of flat, so I don't think it's the worst for Tanner. It was when AppLovin was tanking. Now it's not the worst. AMD sucked for me today, but Duolingo, that 27% decline should now be more like 10%, which is not too bad. And Grab it was up 14%. Now it's up 1%. And then Apple I was up 8% on. If Apple gets to 220, yeah, that'll be close to 10%. So we should see some move. Elon's live. Why is Elon live? What the heck's Elon talking about? You guys want to hear Elon? I don't know what he's talking about. Okay, let's see. Let's go to Elon for a little bit. Let's see. Let's get into this. We don't have to listen to the whole thing, but let's just see if there's anything he's saying.
And the acid test for that is buying things on the system. And that's why we're interested in being as specific as possible with products so that we can, you can see a product or service that say that, yes, that's needed. And it could be at an individual level or at a corporate level. Going back to what I was saying earlier, we have really we have the wealthiest audience. We have the most influential audience in the world on this platform.
And my specific question was, and thank you, my specific question was, given the evolving media landscape and the growing importance of real-time engagement, particularly in live sports, how do you plan at X to leverage its platform to not only enhance the live sports experience with engineering, product resources, but also, enhancements, as you think about redefining.
Okay, they're talking about X advertising. It's not the most exciting stuff. If anyone wants to listen to that, you can go on Twitter. But he's talking about how to make X a better platform for advertisers. I don't know why they care that much about advertisers anymore, because XAI bought the platform. I know they need to make money, but they also kind of don't really need to make that much money, because it's like it's done. It's been acquired. There's no public shareholders. Apple up 3% after hours, hit 220.7. But it looks like a lot of the data on X now will be used to feed XAI. Dude, Apple coming back is really good for the stock market. It's not bad. We will have Technical Tuesday with Jason, guys. Remember, yesterday we had AMD, and there is no way in hell most of the people that were watching yesterday would have cared about Technical Tuesday. Some of you would have, but the AMD cult is different, bro. The AMD cult is different, and there's just no way people would have cared about Technical Tuesday if AMD has earnings. So that's why we listen to AMD. But he will be back on Tuesday next week. He has that whole shot clock idea we're working on. He's been toying with that around, so we should be back next Tuesday. Their revenue from 100 million from Grok. Yeah, look, I'm not saying XAI is making a lot of money, and it would be nice for X advertising to make more money, but X is not an advertising platform. It's just not, dude. The ads on X are not good. They're pretty damn shitty. It's not Facebook level, Instagram level, or TikTok level. They're not going to make it better no matter how much they try. They can make the AI targeting a little bit better, but you just don't have the user base that Instagram and TikTok has. And on X, you don't have a lot of moderation. On Instagram and TikTok, you have a lot more censorship. On X, you see some crazy shit pop up on your X feed because Elon's kind of taken away the whole censorship stuff. And I believe in that from a philosophical perspective, from a money perspective. If I'm an advertiser, it's hard to attract tons of advertisers when you have a lot of stuff on that platform. So I've never seen it as an advertiser. I think they need to go for premium. The problem is there's not that many people that want to pay for premium. I pay for premium. Yeah, the bots have not been resolved, bro. Every day I spend at least 20 minutes of my day deleting bots on X. That's the worst part of it. It's been 2 years since he bought it, and the bot, how did they not figure out the bot? I don't get it. It feels like it can't be that hard. They will keep raising money otherwise to build Grok. Look, they should do whatever they can to attract advertisers, but I think the benefit of being subsidized by XAI and acquired is that they don't really have to. It's not life or death for them anymore, but obviously it's a good thing if they can make more money. Also, I can get paid more from X because they pay creators, and my payments have been down monthly. So basically, the most amount I got from X on every 2 weeks is basically $1,400, which is really good. That's great. But recently it was $800. A lot of people were making $3-4 grand. That went down to $1,000. So it's that's just, and I don't do X to get paid. I do X to build the brand, but the fact that they pay is nice. But the advertising rates across the board went down, which means creators got paid less. And so it's not really a platform to consistently make any income on. And also, one can argue the monetary incentive has made the platform a little worse, because now people are I don't make my post thinking of how many ads I'm going to get. I make my post thinking of, hey, is the content going to be valuable to someone who reads it? And if there's a lot more viewership, then eventually there will be more ads in it. But you got a lot of people gaming it by just trying to get ads underneath their posts. And that's not the best for X either. But I do think Elon's right. It is the best platform for influential people. They're not on Instagram or TikTok. People that the amount of people I've met from Twitter that are very smart people, investors, all this stuff. DoorDash up 7% after hours. They're on X. They're a lot of investors that, most of the Palantir community, most of the Grab community, they're on X. And so hopefully the platform gets better for all those people. Dutch Bros 16% after hours. We'll go deeper in the earnings tomorrow, but Dutch Bros and Duolingo really crushed it. Dutch Bros beat on the top and the bottom. I think their revenue growth is upwards of 30%. Let me just pull that up. That's like tech company growth, which is pretty incredible. And that is why they're getting some momentum. Revenue, yeah, 28% year over year. It's not bad. Not bad at all. Kramer's talking Palantir. Do we want to see what Kramer's saying on Palantir? I mean, dude, here's the thing. Him saying Palantir is super undervalued right here. He's trolling. I've been saying this for the past couple of weeks now. He's trolling because he never believed in Palantir, but he like felt the same thing with Robinhood. He felt the stock would go up, so he started saying he's bullish, when in reality, he's not actually bullish. He's bullish to say he's bullish, but if it goes down, he could also say like, hey, it's a meme stock, which has kind of been his stick right here. So I mean, I just don't take it that seriously. But here's what he's saying on Palantir.
With revenue growth and incredible margins, this guy is crushing it like no other. Let me give you the dirty little secret of the success of Palantir. His name is Shane. So I'm at lunch today, and Shane wants a picture. Love that. You always get the picture. Sometimes I'll even ask you, do you want the picture? No hubris, just being nice. I may be a little hubris. In return for the pic, I asked Shane what he's up to now in the stock market. Oh, Shane seemed mystified that I wanted to know what he was doing. Of course I did, I said. Shane said, you know what I'm doing? I'm buying put options. I said, oh, and what are you buying put options on? Palantir. There you go, Palantir. The path to Palantir riches being paved on the backs of the put buyers, those who use options to bet against it. I told him he needed to focus. He was not focusing. If he was betting against Palantir, he wasn't focusing at all. Fortunately, he limited his risk with puts and not outright shorting. He wouldn't have been at lunch if he were short. He wouldn't even be able to go out in public, believe me. And look, this short-busting Palantir is not alone. Stocks in this market fly when they're heavily shorted and something good, anything good happens. Take Arista Networks, one of my faves, the data center networking play. The last quarter, well, I got to tell you something. It bombed.
You got to admit it's entertainment. Like, if anything, it's entertainment, bro. So, I mean, if that's his Palantir analysis, I don't think he takes it that seriously. Fortinet down 18, Duolingo up 14, Apple up 2.4, hit 220, now back to 218 after hours. All right, folks, is that it? That was a pretty wild after hours. Apple getting some love. You got the announcement. Most companies beat on their earnings, even if their stock prices are not reflecting that, which is okay, because a lot of these prices, like Joby, down 4%. Joby's up like 40% in the past month. So that's not the craziest thing to give some of that back. But the earnings overall, still not bad. Google commits $1 billion for AI training at U.S. universities. Yeah, I think you're going to see a lot of these companies put up these numbers. To be good with the administration, but also just to actually invest in more AI talent, because seems like we're going to need a lot more of it. I did talk to Steve on the phone today. He was in meetings all day, so it was a very short, we had like a 5-minute call after some of his meetings. He should be on Friday. And his article will be out on Friday on Palantir as well. And so we'll talk on Friday, and he'll break down what he's thinking about Palantir. I got in Duolingo 2 days ago. Congrats. Hey, look, it looks like a good quarter. I haven't gone through it that deeply, but Street likes it. And they're giving it a 10% move, or a 12% move right here after hours. All right, is that it? Are we done? Tomorrow morning, still going to be kind of wild with all the companies. Again, we got a lot of them. Eli Lilly, that'll be a big one. Pharmaceuticals, Novo got hit today and over the past couple of days, but do have a decent amount of companies reporting. And then after this week, going into next week, yeah, it's pretty flat. The week after that, pretty flat. You got some of the retailers, and then NVIDIA, August 27th. That will be a big one. You have CrowdStrike, Snowflake, HP, and Salesforce at the same time. So that's going to be a big one for NVIDIA. Priya says, Amit, I'm going to Europe for a 2-week trip. Hopefully I won't have withdrawal system from not tuning in. Priya, appreciate you. Hopefully you enjoy Europe. Did anyone go on vacation yet? It's like, it's not the end of summer yet, but we have a month left. Did anyone actually go on vacation or like do anything different this summer? The problem whenever I think of going on vacation is I'm like, how will I keep the show going? Because, you know, like either I sacrifice the show or I have to make sure the time frame works out. But also, I don't want to go on vacation. Like, I am very happy being at home and not having to leave and just being in the studio every day. I'm going to the Olin Summit in September. Oh, that'll be fun. September is going to be a lot of traveling for me. A lot of traveling. August is going to be Miami, so that'll be fun. Again, Miami Forum, let me put it right here. If you signed up recently, you'll probably get an email tonight on next steps. But for everyone else who already paid the deposit, you should have got your confirmation email. If not, you'll be getting it probably soon. Again, you'll get the deposit back after the event. But yeah, if you haven't signed up, there's the form right there. My last vacation was in 2006. Shark Ninja's tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning. Yeah, I don't remember the last time I went on quote-unquote vacation. It's been a minute. I guess India in October. I guess that was my vacation. I went to Spain. Invest XAI says, not bad. Priya says, I'm going to Spain and Madeira in Portugal. That should be fun. I'm not moving to NYC. Moving to Jersey City. Very close to NYC. But not NYC. Siege, thank you for the $20 super chat. The show must go on. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's true. Matt Money, Chris, they did go to Mexico, but I absolutely did not feel like going to Mexico. And so I have no regrets about not going. But the show must go on. The show must go on. So thank you, Siege, for the $20 super chat. Also, I enjoy doing the show every day, dude. That's what that's what makes me happy. Being on some beach, sipping a Mai Tai or something, like that's not the definition of that. Some people really love that. They love just like that peace and calm of being on the beach and enjoy. Not that I hate it. That's not, I don't know. That's not really exciting for me. That's just not what I do. I think Matt might join for earnings tomorrow on Rocket Lab. He might he's definitely going to do the call himself. I'm not going to be streaming the call, so everyone can leave my channel and go to his when he does the call. Maybe he'll be able to join when the earnings actually come out, but the call for sure will be on his channel. You can do the show from anywhere next time, live stream from the beach. So sometimes that works if the hotspot is good. If the hotspot sucks, then it doesn't work. But yes, theoretically, you could do the show from anywhere. Just need good internet and like a decent time zone to be able to operate in. But there's going to be a lot of traveling next year. That's for sure. So September is going to be a ton of traveling. I think October is also going to be a ton of traveling. There might be an international trip in October for something I can't talk about yet. But that one is still very preliminary. It might happen. And if it does, I don't know how the hell I'm going to do it because that's like all the way across the world. And so that's going to be like, I don't think I would be able to do the close every day. I would be able to do the open, but not the close, most likely. And I'd probably miss a bunch of days on the open. That would only be for a week if it happens. It's very preliminary. Don't know if it's going to happen, but it might happen. But outside of that, the rest of the year shouldn't be crazy traveling outside of September. But 2026 will be. 2026 will be. I think there's going to be a lot of travel. No, it's not Singapore. We're not going to Singapore in October. Hopefully 2026. Oh, Grab. Okay, so let me show you. I didn't get to show you the Instagram videos that Grab posted. Dude, I love these guys on Instagram. They need to get their asses on X because there's such an audience on X for them. But let me show you. So this is the CEO, Anthony Tan, yesterday. This is what they posted on Instagram.
Black chicken. I guess look for the black color chicken. Oh, okay. Let's go. Make sure don't pick the wrong one. One. I have to choose a nice one for this customer. 2, 3. All right. Oh, done. That's it. That's it. They give me an easy job. Apple Royal, Apple Envy, Apple Genesis.
Look for the packing one.
Oh,
Great
all
one,
the
packing one.
packing.
Yes.
Oh,
The
okay,
packing
now
one.
I know.
Yes.
Okay, this is a good one. This is a good one. Yeah, looks pretty fresh to me. Sun white beras wangi. Black chicken wangi. 5 more minutes before my driver gets here, so let's not panic. Shows here how bad when 5 people need to help me. So under pressure, but not used to shopping. Outside of Jaya, do you have other grandma?
Yeah. Only Jaya.
No more. Thanks, boss. Thank you for the feedback. Thank you.
I see you. Very happy.
No. How long you been with Grab?
2019.
Wow. I would love to see even more seamless integration with GrabMart to make sure that it's a much better experience for our pickers and a much better experience for our drivers, so that the entire process can be seamless for our customers. Our fresh goods have gotten better. I really love that fresh really is up and center, because people like me and many like you really appreciate fresh, good, healthy food. So I'm really glad and grateful for the Jaya team to really keep upping the bar in freshness. Thank you so much for your support, and thank you to Everrise and Jaya team.
I love it. I love it, dude. That's the CEO on the front lines actually fulfilling orders. He's done many videos like this, and I love seeing that stuff. They actually own Everrise and Jaya, which is a grocer in Southeast Asia, and they bought them, I think, like a year ago. So, dude, I love it. I love when a CEO is getting into the nitty gritty and actually doing the work that his merchants and his pickers and his drivers are doing. And one of the things that's so important about this, I shared a video with you guys last week. The guy is very mission oriented in the context of, hey, how do we become a profitable business while helping the most underserved in society, aka the people that are bankless, right? The people that are underbanked, and the people that don't have an income, and provide them an income by giving them a job, right? Giving them a purpose in life by being able to do something. So it's going to be a long story, but I really like the CEO. I really like their mission. I really like their commitment. And again, the numbers, I know the stock's not cooperating. It is what it is, but my thesis on the numbers aligned with the mission makes the stock incredibly cheap, in my opinion. And eventually, if the metrics go in the right direction, the stock price will reflect it. But I like it. I like it a lot. And again, it's very, very hard to find some of those mission-focused CEO or founders that are actually still running the business to this day. They made another video with their CFO. I'll link it in the chat. You guys can watch it on your own. But that's the CFO basically talking about some of the earnings results that they had as well. Is Grab your next Palantir? Probably not. I don't think we will ever find another Palantir. I mean, Robinhood's the closest to what we find, but Palantir is just a different animal, dude. So I do think Grab will be a $100 billion company, which is a 5x from here. I think that'll take time. Realistically, I think this thing should be around $7 right now. So that's why I think it's asymmetric. But Palantir from 7 to 180, dude. I mean, this is a different world. This is a different world. And again, the other thing that's holding Grab back, dude, they're not announcing what they're doing with their cash. They have basically $8 billion cash, $7.6 billion. What are you going to do with it? I don't know. The street doesn't know. Every analyst, by the way, has a buy rating on it. There's 2 hold ratings. No one has a sell rating. Like, it is not expensive at $4.77, and it stayed at $5.50 for the majority of the last month and a half. So it doesn't deserve to be here. I think there's some manipulation. I think there's some accumulation, and I think eventually, when you get some headlines, you'll see this thing shoot up. But the dog days of being here, if you don't want to wait for that to happen, then you get out, right? You go do something else. But if you're okay sitting on it, which is dead money for now and not timing when it moves, then you won't be chasing it on the move. But when does that happen? No one knows, and that's kind of the hard part, obviously, about investing in these things early. What do you think about Fortinet? Again, not sure why they're down 18%. Felt like it was a little bit aggressive on the 17% on the downside, but there'll got to be something in the earnings that'll go through tonight, and we'll see what we've got going on. Okay, I know we need to do options 301. Jason, again, he sent me a bunch of videos yesterday. Jason's really building out like an entire new HQ, so he's also been really busy. But I will try to talk to him this weekend and see if we can officially get that done. But I know we do have to do options 301 soon. Grab is already at 20 billion at these prices, so don't get fooled about the low price. Yeah, but they have 8 billion in cash, right? So they have an enterprise value of 12. I mean, like, you got to take out the cash when you're thinking about these growth startups and their enterprise value. Same thing I did on Robinhood. It was an 8 billion market cap, but they had 6 billion in cash. So the company was worth 2 billion. So it's like, wait a second, like, is Robinhood actually worth $2 billion? No. Like, do I think Grab's only worth $12 billion? Absolutely not. Now, granted, either I'm wrong or I'm right about that. Time will tell, but the market cap to me is not aggressive at all at these levels. And I think now it's not even 20, it's like 19 billion now. But we got to see. They're putting up the growth. That's all I can control. Or that's all they can control. And eventually the stock price follows. But they've got to be able to continue putting up the growth. And again, I think that growth is going to be upwards of 30, 40% going into 2026. Marco says, Amit, the other night I was at BJ's with some friends and spent about 10 minutes explaining to them why you're the GOAT financial influencer. Marco, appreciate you, man. Means a lot. Very cool. We have a Costco near me. I don't really go to BJ's that often. I think I've been there once, but Costco is more the thing in at least where I'm at in Jersey. But I appreciate it. A lot of people have reached out that they found me through their friends or their family or stuff like that. And that always means a lot because the word of mouth that is required to, grow an audience is always very humbling because it means that people found you on the endorsement of someone else. Of course, you guys are making the joke that comes with BJ's. Like, it's just like no one can even cue the obligatory BJ jokes. Someone can't even type the name of a store in the chat without you guys making the joke. Of course, it's too predictable, dude. It's too predictable. Did Hims go down today? Hims was it below 50? Hims 51, 8%. Hims has been a mess since this Novo stuff. And I don't really know what's going to change, but I do know this thing could spike back up to 65 tomorrow. I mean, like, this is just... I haven't seen the Hims bulls going crazy after the earnings, though, to the upside. Like, I haven't seen them pounding the table like, oh my goodness, this was the best earnings ever. And then the Novo stuff. So I guess that's why that one's down 8%. Amit, would you consider selling the 250 December 2025 Apple calls premium is low, iPhone 17 and holiday season is coming up? Oh, you mean buying it? I don't like short-term calls, so no. 250 I think is aggressive. I think 230-ish you could see on Apple. But if you're planning to sell 250 when Apple gets to 230, hopefully if Apple gets to 230 within like a month, then yeah, you should be able to get a decent move on the 250s Decembers. But I do think Apple was at 260 last December, so for it to get back there, and that was on the super cycle narrative that never ended up playing out. So you're going to need to see them find some new AI narrative, I think, that would get the stock to move. Don't know why Fortinet's down. I'll go through the earnings, but I guess it was something they said that got the street mad. BM&R down 4% after hours. That was up 15% during the day. That one is also taking a breather. Found you from Tanner. Grateful I did. That's awesome. It's cool when you guys find Tanner from my community. People find me from Tanner's community. Because we both do collaborate all the time here. PayPal, did that one move today at all? PayPal, that was up 2%. All right. Dude, they're really pegging it under 70. They're really keeping it under 70. All right, I think that's it. I think that is it. We're done. It's been a crazy earnings season, but we are coming to the end of it, and then we got NVIDIA in a month. Paul says, Amit here from day one from Ireland, bought Palantir 25, then at 6 because of you. Nice one. I have to buy you a creamy Guinness one day. Hopefully we get to do Dublin next year, dude. Singapore is definitely happening. London's definitely happening. I think Germany's definitely happening. Hopefully we can do Dublin next year. Next year, I think next year there's going to be a new place every month, whether it's a country or a state in the U.S. But yeah, next year should be fun in regards to all the travel. Dude, I had to finish so many things this afternoon for moving out. Apparently, if you have people delivering sofas and couches, you need to freaking get a COI, certificate of insurance, and then like you have to get it from your property manager, then you have to send it to your shipper, then they have to send it back to the property manager. There's like so much of this logistical shit to deal with. And so I spent most of the day just getting all that figured out. We got 2 weeks left, folks. 2 weeks. And then we're moving. And then we are out. I am not an AMD. I have it in my fantasy draft. I do not own the stock. More in NVIDIA. But I just don't know enough about it to be buying it on this dip. but it is in the fantasy draft. We got 2 weeks. 2 weeks left. And then we're moving out. Again, the streams from the new apartment won't really start till the end of August. But 2 weeks until we move out. So it should be fun. NVIDIA is not 180 after hours. Is it 180 after hours? Is this thing moving? Wow, we're almost at 180 after. Okay. Well, we were basically there. We were at 179.50. So, all right. NVIDIA is getting some love. NVIDIA is getting some love. Are you going to do banking through Robinhood? I would if they had business banking. I will sign up for it, but I have a business account and I need them to introduce business accounts. Once they do that, I will immediately leave Bank of America forever and I'm going to Robinhood. So once they give me business banking, I'm going to be very excited for that. So it should be fun. But yeah, I think it's going to be a massive tailwind for Robinhood's business long term. The bricks are not installed yet. I'm excited for you guys to see it. I think it'll be fun. I think it'll be fun. I don't want to show you guys any teaser pictures yet. I still haven't fully been in the apartment. I've been in the same model. I'm on the 17th floor. I've been on the 4th floor model, the 10th floor model, and the 26th floor model because I've never actually been able to get into the 17th floor model because there's still people living there. But the 26th floor model was really nice because it was really high up in the sky. And it's like, I don't think I'm that high up there, but it was cool because the view just looks way better when you're that high up. But I think 17 is still going to be decent. So it should be good. It should be fun. Apple 220, dude. I love it. Apple participating in this market is so good for the S&P, so good for the NASDAQ. Like, dude, I mean, Tom Lee, he was on CNBC again. So he said 7,000 end of year, baby. Like, if we're going to 7,000, you need Apple to participate. It's really hard. You need Tesla to participate as well. So if we get 7K and then hopefully get to keep it in 2026, Apple's got to be there. So it'll be very nice. Right now, I have business banking with Bank of America, and they suck. Like, they genuinely suck. Their app sucks. Their overdraft fee sucks. Everything about Bank of America sucks. And so I get the bull case for SoFi, why people want to leave. SoFi still doesn't have business banking. They have like a partnership with American Express. And like, I need a neobank that can actually give me real business banking so I don't have to stay with these legacy guys. Otherwise, I would have left to SoFi a while ago, but they still don't really have business banking. And maybe Robinhood can do that. Apple right here, 220.30. NVIDIA, 180.25. All right. NVIDIA getting some love with Apple. NVIDIA getting some love with Apple. Amit, I bought ET for earnings for a gamble today. Wasn't aware of the 10% withholding tax since I'm Canadian, so just lost 1.1 thousand since I broke even. Makes me sick. Is there anything I can do? You know, the only thing you can do right there is learn a lesson to not gamble on earnings. I mean, I've had my losses on earnings too. Like, it is what it is, right? Now, the Canada part, I mean, I can't do anything about that. Sometimes the Canadian laws are very different, but you lost 1,000, you lost 1,000 gambling on earnings. This is why whenever I do an earnings gamble, it literally is a gamble because you have to be okay with losing the money since earnings just never know. Just never know what could happen on earnings. But hopefully, I mean, the other way to resolve it is you gamble back the 1,000 on a different stock on earnings. Obviously, that's also risky, but yeah, it happens. It happens to everybody. NVIDIA run hasn't even started considering Genie 3 demo with Google DeepMind. Yeah, I haven't bought NVIDIA since 159. I wouldn't think it's crazy to buy NVIDIA here at all. Like this is the difference between them and AMD. AMD putting up 14% data center revenue growth. It's like kind of scary to buy AMD when they're only growing 14%, unless you really know AMD. NVIDIA, you can definitely count the growth's going to be there. The question is how good is the growth, but it's going to be there. AMD, the growth wasn't there. I'm sorry, 14% is not growth. And Jose made that very clear this morning, saying you can't get excited about that. But if NVIDIA can beat and raise and really continue the momentum, it makes you excited about, ultimately where they are going. Apple now 220.85, almost hit 221, dude. Almost hit 221. I don't have a balcony, unfortunately. There's a lot of amenities, but there's not a balcony. But I think the view's nice. Dude, the thing about where I live, though, is like it's right near So Jersey City, there's a lot for anyone in the tri-state area. Jersey City is basically on the edge of New York, and certain parts of it, but the part near the pier, I think it's the Hudson that separates Jersey City and the World Trade. Let me show you guys a picture. I think I showed this a while ago, but like I'm like 10 minutes away from walking to the World Trade Center, and the World Trade Center. I've always had this obsession with the World Trade Center. Like this is like the park near me. And it's the Hudson, right? Yeah. This is beautiful, bro. This is beautiful. And so just being able to like be that close to the city. Yeah, that is the Hudson. Okay. I've just always loved it, dude. I've always wanted to be there. But I don't want to live in New York because New York is New York and the taxes are stupid. And like, like I want to come home from New York, but be able to have access to New York without having to live in New York. And so it's really cool. The one thing about the World Trade Center is like, I love the World Trade Center. I just, and this is what I've always thought of. I wish they rebuilt the World Trade Center the way that it was. I wish when after 9/11, they rebuilt the Twin Towers to be the Twin Towers, because let me show I'm pretty sure everyone here has seen this, but this to me is the most iconic skyline in history. My uncle lived in New York when I was little, and he had this picture in his apartment every time I went to visit him. And it's just like, this is iconic, bro. Look at that. It's the most basic building structure ever, but it's iconic. That's what Trump said too. Yeah, I would imagine. And so like, I took a class on 9/11 and everything that happened back when I was in college. And we watched a lot of documentaries on how they rebuilt the One World Trade Center. I just wish they built that. But there was a whole different reason for why they built it the way they built it, and it was kind of a way to create a memorial for the two spots where the Twin Towers fell. But man, that is gorgeous, bro. I mean, look at that skyline, dude. From the old movies when they have the New York City skyline, like that is just, I don't know. There's something about it. Yeah, they had a class on 9/11 when I was in college. I took a class on 9/11, learned a lot about it. But yeah, I really do love that skyline, and I love being next to it. And so that's the cool part about the apartment. But the apartment doesn't have a skyline view. That's what I really wanted. I was not able to find that. And at some point I was like, let me just get done what I can get done. So hopefully in the future we can get that view. NVIDIA, almost 181 after hours. Almost 181. I don't know why NVIDIA's up. I mean, I guess it's because of the Trump announcement on Apple and the S&P going up, so everything's kind of going up. But Palantir as well, almost 180 after hours, 179.52. Tesla, almost 320 after hours as well. So there you go. There you go. Yeah, we do have the Statue of Liberty view. That's true. So that's nice to see. Apple 203 to 220 in one day is just nuts. Dude, Apple's Apple. Like, I had a feeling I should personally buy Apple when it was at 198 instead of just in my stock draft, because it felt like everyone was so bearish, including myself. But I just Apple was never going to be like a really big investment for me, so I didn't want to touch it. But as a trade, I mean, like, it's hard for Apple to stay down if the market's going up. Usually they find a way to maneuver it. And now they're at 220. Can you see Steve's farm from there? No, I cannot see Steve's farm. But I got to go to Steve's farm one day. The view of the Nile River is spectacular. Oh my gosh. It'll be cool, dude. I think it'll be cool. There's going to be a lot of good content we can do. There's going to be a lot of collaborations we can do. New York is New York. And so there's always opportunities to utilize the city itself. So it should be fun. It should be fun. Steve's pie shop is 1.5 hours away. Steve is a treasure, bro. Steve is an absolute treasure. All right, is that it? My friend just texted me. He said, admit that Grab commercial was fucking ass. This is why you need friends, bro. This is why you need friends. First of all, it was not ass, okay? Even if the music was kind of cringe. Dude, I get like this is the moment where you either let the pressure get to you or you keep calm. And from all the DD I've done, I think this name's going to be a winner. But in the short term, when the stock's not reciprocating, there's nothing you can do. Like, you got to live with it. But my conviction on this thing is just getting deeper and deeper. And so eventually, if it works, it'll be great. If not, it is what it is. Yeah, there you go. That was the friend, Davis. It was corny as hell. I agree. It was corny as hell. Mid Jen Lidney or Joey Potter. I don't know who Jen Lidney is, so I would say Joey Potter because that's Dawson's Creek. Who's Jen Lindley? Oh, Jen. She's from Dawson's Creek. I forgot her name was Jen. I forgot. You know, she was married to Heath Ledger, and Heath Ledger was the Joker. Unfortunately, he committed suicide, but they have a daughter together as well, I believe. And then the Joey was married to Tom Cruise for a bit, but then they got divorced. You know, I still think I'm going for Joey Potter. Joey, but Jen is kind of that girl next door. But so is Joey, dude. So is Joey. I think Jen's a bit more attractive. But Joey's personality from the show is great. Dude, I love this show so much. I think I'm going to start watching Dawson's Creek again. I think I'm starting it over again. For people that haven't seen Dawson's Creek, I think it's worth watching it again, or at least watching it. I really do. It is a classic show. I think it's worth. Yeah, Joey is a kid with Tom. Yeah, she's a kid with Tom Cruise. Dude, Tom Cruise's life is also crazy, bro. I think I saw a documentary the other day about that guy, like a month and a half ago. He does all of his stunts, which is wild. I did not know the guy does all of his stunts. He like lives on the edge, literally. And I didn't know that's what he does, but apparently he does. So, you know, that's who she was with. Adam says, you're a legend to me. You make me laugh. I agree on Twin Towers. Imagine the resilience message. Beautiful idea. Yeah, that's the other thing. It's the message of, hey, we can build back what you guys destroyed. But, you know, they had their own reasons for building it the way they did after. But I really loved how the Twin Towers looked. Apple's still up 3% after hours, and NVIDIA 180.77. All right. I said I was going to go like 15 minutes ago, right? I think I should go. It's almost 7 p.m. Eastern. I think I should get out of here. Wait, was it an overdose? Oh, I think you're right. Heath Ledger was an overdose. I'm wrong. Yeah, it was not a suicide. I think you're right. It was an overdose. And it was right before the movie came out too, I think. And he was the best Joker ever, dude. He was like that role. I have watched The Dark Knight like 20 times. That role of the Joker was unbelievable. I mean, it was incredible. But yeah, I do think it was an overdose. Increase your testosterone, please. Oh my gosh. Pal's not live. I don't have any rant. I can't manufacture a rant. I already had a rant at the end of the market open from Chris's freaking Twitter post. I was not a fan of that post, dude. I told him straight up. Like, I don't like it, bro. Like, he was arguing with, dude, he told Iliano stick to making hats. I was like, bro, that's not like what are you doing, bro? Like, I told him straight. I was like, I don't like it. I don't like it, Chris. I think you're just going out the wrong way. Like, all right, you were wrong on it. That's it. Move on. So I think it was a bad move. And I told him to his face. I said, it was not a good move. But he is who he is, man. You can't change people. You can't change people. Like I have, by the way, I mean, some of you guys have been asking about this as well, but I did make up with data-driven investing. I know we had our little public spat as well. I messaged him the other day and we made up as well. Like to me, when you have public beef with someone and you're burning a bridge, the question is it worth burning? And with data-driven, I didn't talk about it on the channel, but I'm sure a lot of you guys saw it on Twitter. He just pissed me the hell off. Like, and he's been kind of rubbing me the wrong way for a while. And so I just went off on him and I said, dude, you're really pissing me off. And like, I think you're full of shit and it is what it is. And my comment, I'm sure some of you guys saw it, got like 1,500 likes His comment got like 200 likes. So obviously, just from a numerical basis, there were a lot of people that agreed that, hey, like you're being weird for no reason, and you're kind of taking shots at him for no reason, and all that stuff, right? He apologized to me a day after. I didn't open his apology for like a month, and then over the weekend, my soul was not happy with that being in the background. And so I messaged them and I'm like, dude, I needed a month to cool off. It's okay. We're good. I didn't appreciate how you've been talking about me, but we'll move on. He apologized for it. And I said, all right, let's go forward. And that's it. You resolve it and you move on, right? But when you publicly have beef with someone, you've got to be on the right side of the beef. And with data driven, based on my opinion and based on a lot of the feedback in the comments and the numerical ratioing of the post compared to his post, I think most people agreed, dude, you're being a dick, and Amit's calling you out for being a dick. And there's been multiple posts where I feel like I could have done it, and I'm in a group chat with Tanner and Roy. I'm like, bro, he's being a dick. I'm about to say something, and Tanner and Roy are like, all right, if you do it, you're burning a bridge. And then I stop myself because I'm like, you know what? I don't burn bridges. I'm not that type of guy. Shouldn't do it. But then that post came out. I'm like, I don't care, guys. I'm burning this freaking bridge. And I let it go. And Tanner and Roy even understood. They were like, dude, we get it. Like, we understand. Like, at this point, like, he pushed you over the edge. But like, at the end of the day, like, you don't hold that you don't hold that malice in your heart. And so I said, I don't feel comfortable with that level of burning of the bridge when I know you're not a bad person, but you really pissed me off with that. And so let's resolve it. And we resolved it. But why am I bringing this up? Chris burned a bridge today with the Palantir community. He's an arsonist. See, Spencer is hilarious. Spencer, he's an arsonist. Yes. Chris burned a bridge today with the Palantir community, and he really burned a bridge with Iliano and Chad by telling Iliano, all you do is sell hats, because that's not all Iliano does. I mean, he is one of the main reasons why Palantir is engaging with retail. And so now here's the question. Would Chris ever apologize for what he did today? I don't think so. I don't know. Because I didn't apologize to Data Driven. He apologized to me because he realized how mad I was. And the fact that he had the humility to apologize, I appreciated. But I eventually needed the humility to accept the apology as well, right? And go from that way. I've also, I think a year and a half ago, I went off on someone that really pissed me off in the comments, and I was definitely in the wrong. And like, they just said something, and like, if I'm a bigger creator and a smaller creator says something, a lot of times they're trying to get attention, but that doesn't mean I have the right. I have the right, but that doesn't mean I should respond to them in an aggressive way. And I've learned that over the past couple of years, but I did it a year and a half ago, and it just didn't fit right with me. And then I went into their DMs and I apologized. I was like, dude, that wasn't right of me. I was just really pissed off at the moment. I'm sorry. It was a bit aggressive, and I hope we're still good. And we're still good. Because I'm not that type of guy. I don't have malice in my heart. So with Chris burning the bridges today with the entire Palantir community, the amount of messages I've got today about this stupid freaking Twitter beef. For those that don't know, he put out a tweet that said Karp says he's a socialist, but he wears a watch, and therefore Karp's like a hypocrite. Yeah, Enrique's in the chat. There you go. Enrique, there you go. He's in the chat right there. Enrique said something. It kind of pissed me off. I responded to him in an aggressive way. And then I think like a day later, I messaged him and I was like, dude, like, I didn't mean to be that mean. I'm sorry. It was kind of stupid of me. And you move on, right? You move on. You have to have the humility to apologize when you're like humility is the number one virtue that I think that at least I live my life by. And today, Chris was not humble. And the problem is he sold Palantir at $10. The stock's at freaking 180. Like you just don't have the right to be like, you guys are stupid for investing in Palantir. It's like, no one's going to respect that at all. No one. All love, brother. All love to you as well. And if no one's going to respect that, but you're going to go down that path, and that's what I was telling him. We were in a group chat. I was in a group chat with him and Steve. I'm like, dude, like, this is not like, I'm telling you right now, this does not look good. It's just not. You're going to get like 10 people that hate Palantir that agree with you. And like, that is not the audience you want. Those people are either they just hated Palantir from the beginning, or they missed Palantir. Like you don't want to have a toxic community filled with people. So, but again, you can't change people either. Like it's like, I think the manly thing to do would be to apologize for that tweet publicly and just say, I didn't mean to do that. I don't think he's going to do that. But I'm not telling you guys anything I haven't told him to his face. I was like, dude, We're still great friends, still love you. You know, you're a big part of my life, but that was not the tweet. That was not the post to make. You don't isolate yourself again. Also, he loves Palantir, dude. Chris is a veteran. He understands how important this company is for the country. He's never said he hated the company, but his disdain for the valuation, which I get, but it's investing. Like, it is what it is. Like, okay, you don't like the valuation on Palantir, move on. It's not that serious. Like, there's plenty of other opportunities for you to focus on and build your financial creator brand around without hating on Palantir. And again, if he put out a post that was bearish on the valuation, I don't care. But his post was a low blow on Karp and the team. And that's just not, I don't think that's the right way to do it. I really don't. Just be happy you're getting that 25K. Dude, I'm taking that 25K and I'm putting it all in Palantir. I don't care if Palantir is like $300 a share in 5 years. We're taking that and we're just investing it straight into Palantir. That 25K is going to go right into Palantir. So, y'all overreacting. It's a tweet. Trust me, bro. We're not overreacting. Like, tweets in good faith that are fun are fine. When you actually burn the bridge between you and a company and all the company's supporters and then the company's employees, and you effectively say one of the employees is, you know, whatever you want to, whatever adjective you want to put in there, but he like basically told Ileano that he doesn't do shit in the company besides sell hats. I'm like, well, that's not a joke anymore. That's just mean. And that's an aggressive way to frame your relationship against a community. Like Chris is part of my community. My community is deep into Palantir. That doesn't mean Chris has to care about Palantir. Steve has not been happy with Palantir for the past 5 months in terms of valuation, but that also doesn't mean you isolate yourself to such an extent. I don't think you guys are upset at Chris over the past couple of days. I've been seeing your comments because of his bearishness on Palantir per se. Like, most people are more mature enough to be like, okay, he doesn't like Palantir, whatever. It's the way he presents that bearishness, and that tweet today kind of just presented it like a dick. And I told him that. And that's what people are upset about. That's what people are upset about. Like, a lot of you guys are a fan of the whole Meta glasses, Apple glasses, and I've been pretty bearish on like Apple glasses, Meta vision goggles, whatever. Like, I don't like that as a concept. But I'm not like, oh, you're an idiot if you think that people are going to wear glasses for the next 10 years and that's going to replace the iPhone. Like, I would never frame it like that. I was like, look, I don't see that happening. Maybe it does happen. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But that's it. When you're bearish on something, you have to present it in a way that acknowledges the bull case from the other side and not isolate the people that believe in a stock or an argument without making them feel like they're an idiot. Because everyone has their own bullish or bearish perspectives on anything, much less a company or an idea or a product from that company. Unless it's Open Door. Open Door is full of shit. That's Open Door is just, and if I'm wrong on that, then I'll say I'm wrong on that. Open Door, I think, is actually bullshit. But like, Palantir is not full of shit, and you don't isolate yourself like that. Yeah, Kenneth has been disagreeing with me on this glasses take for a long time. So, and to be fair, maybe I do need to do more due diligence. I'm just like, I've had this ideological take for a while, and the Vision Pro failed, and so I was kind of like confirmation bias, like, okay, so prove, but you know, there might be something deeper to it, so I need to analyze it. But it's like, you don't burn a bridge with a company that matters so much, in my opinion. So it is what it is. It is what it is. But no, I don't think Chris is not going to be on the channel anymore. Chris is still a good friend, and he'll be on the channel, and he'll be part of the streams and stuff. I just think there's no point about talking about Palantir with him anymore, because at this point, it's going to become like personal when he talks about it now, not about the company or the valuation. And that there's no point of having ad hom attacks on the company. So yes, I explicitly I talked to Chris about the tweet as soon as the tweet came out. I messaged him and I was like, dude, not the move. So whatever I'm saying to you guys is nothing I've not said to him. Like, just straight up, it's not the move. And if you're going to post that publicly, I'm going to respond publicly like I'm responding right now. You can still be good friends, but like, I'm going to respond publicly if you take such a low blow at the company for a guy wearing a watch. Like, it's not like for someone to say wearing a watch and self-proclaiming you're a socialist means you're a fundamental hypocrite and that the company's fleecing everybody. If that's the angle you're going after they just reported $1 billion in quarterly revenue, you obviously are not hating Palantir. You're hating the team, and you're hating the fact that you sold early and you're taking it out on everybody else. And I don't think that's the best thing to do. I think my point is, and I told him this, you're putting your ego ahead of like what's actually happening. It's becoming way too emotional, and your ego is taking up. And I don't think that's the best thing. Steve was not a fan of the tweet. Steve was not a fan of the tweet. I talked to Steve. He was not a fan of it either. Steve was just like, why would he say that? Steve was like, that's not a good. Steve was just like, what the fuck is he doing? It's like, why are you like publicly attacking Palantir because a guy owns a watch? Like, it's not the right way to go about it, in my opinion. It just really isn't. Still a good friend. He'll be on the show plenty of times. We'll still talk, but I do not think that was the route to go to say you're mad. And I think all can be forgiven if he just puts out a tweet and says, look, I got a bit too emotional today. I sold Palantir too early. Congrats to the Bulls. I put out a stupid tweet. I think all of us will laugh about it and we'll move on. I don't think anyone will care. Like people have a short memory, quite frankly. Like you just apologize, you move on. I think I've learned that when you apologize when you're wrong and you move on, your soul feels better. But there are some people that cannot admit when they're wrong. And when they can't admit they're wrong, they just carry that toxic negative energy in them. And then it comes out in all these other different ways. And you just end up not being the happiest person there. I'm not talking behind my friend's back because I told everything I'm telling you guys is what I told Chris. And he posted the tweet publicly. So I'm going to be responding to it publicly. It is what it is. It is what it is. I prefaced my comments with saying, Chris is my friend. There's no rift between us. He'll be on the show. But I fundamentally did that tweet went viral today in the Palantir community. I'm obviously someone who talks about Palantir. I have to have a response to it. Now, I didn't actually respond to it on Twitter because I didn't want to get involved in that. But I'm telling you guys what I told Chris. I was like, this is not a good look at all. At all. And if Chris is live, I will say it live to his face. Just like I said, this is not a good look. You don't go for low blows like that and then say that stuff and burn an entire bridge with a company that's associated with in a community that you're associated with it well. You could disagree about the valuation, the bear case, whatever. But I think that was the right way to do it. So those are my thoughts. Those are my thoughts on it. And I do think I'll link his Twitter in the chat for you. I do think apologizing. And the reason I brought up the data-driven investing is I've been in Twitter beef before. I've had Twitter beef. I try to stay away from it because now my account is getting to the point where if I meaningfully get into beef with someone, dude, there's so many comments every day that I want to respond to, so many trolls saying such bullshit, and you want to respond to it and just tell them they're full of shit. But then you're like, dude, you have a big following. People will see that, and then you're associated with all that negative energy. The one time I really did it over the past month was data driven because I really got pissed off and I sent the tweet. But then, we both resolved it. So I've been through Twitter beef before. It's not pretty because everyone sees it. And that's why as soon as he tweeted it, I was trying to tell him, dude, this is just not a good look. You got a lot of people in the company across the community that are going to be seeing this stuff. This is not something you want to be associated with. Didn't really matter. So it is what it is. People will be themselves. I think we'll all forget about this soon, but I do think, just quite honestly, he has burned some bridges today, and a lot of people are going to be seeing him in a different light because when you get that personal about someone, it's not going to be easy to be likable. As a content creator, you have to be likable. People have to like talking to you. People have to want to enjoy listening to you, hearing your perspectives, hearing your thoughts. And if you approach it in the way that he approaches today with that tweet, by the way, I think what I'm doing is the right thing to do. I had another friend, I'm not going to name their name, a year ago that had a similar situation like this. And I sent them a 10-minute voice memo saying, bro, cut it out. This is stupid. Don't do it like this. Because he was trying to grow his Twitter account and he was trying to do it in a really negative and toxic way. And he was a good friend of mine. And he saw, my following. And I was like, I didn't do it like this. I didn't grow like this. I grew by putting out value. And eventually people found my content, not by this bullshit that you're doing. And he got pissed off that I sent that voice memo that as if I was trying to coach him. I'm like, I'm not trying to coach you. I don't give a fuck about your account. I'm just trying to say, if you think you're getting to the top doing it that way, you're wrong. You can either take my advice or not, but you're not going to grow like that. You're just not. And as someone who has started to establish a content creating career, I'm just saying, when you take low blows like that, it doesn't work out because people don't like listening to you or hearing your perspective. You'll get some trolls that like it, but the majority of people are going to be like, this guy's a dick. He can't take a loss. He can't accept when he's wrong. And now he's taking it out on other people. And that's not the right way to grow an audience. And he already has an audience. Chris has like 30,000 followers. Like, he's not like some random account on Twitter. So that when you say that stuff, it has an impact. And that's not the best thing. So it's up to Chris. Maybe he'll address it. Maybe he doesn't. This is my last time talking about it. I don't really care. Most Palantir investors don't care. They're up a lot of money right now. They couldn't necessarily stress over someone on Twitter getting mad about Palantir, but it's not just some random bot account. It's Chris. And most people, dude, Chris was on Palantir Weekly for a year. People know Chris. It's not like he's just some random guy that talks about the macro on my channel. Chris started Palantir Weekly with me and Sachin. It was me, Chris, and Sachin that started this thing. So they know him from the OG days. So to see him come back and act like this is just it's not a good look. But this is my last time talking about it, because unless he keeps going on this tweet rampage around Palantir, which I hope after today he's done with and it's not that serious anymore. But would I like him to apologize? Yes. Not even to me or anything, but just like to the employees that he pissed off today and the way he framed his content. But I can't force that out of anybody. What did he say that was wrong? It wasn't necessarily a question of right or wrong. It was a question of the way he was framing how he thinks about the executives at Palantir. And it wasn't a good look, dude. It's not even about being right or wrong, too. It's about you being salty, right? Like if I miss, like Shopify today, right? I thought I was going to buy Shopify at $50. Now Shopify's at $150. I am happy for people that invested in Shopify because they made money. I am not saying whatever irrational nonsense about the company to justify why buying it at $150, which Shopify is an expensive stock, is like a stupid thing, and you should feel dumb if you're an investor. And the CEO said this 5 years ago, therefore, blah, 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 blah. And as a result, Shopify investors are stupid, which is essentially what he was implying today. And that is not the right way to deal with the community. I just don't think so. I don't think so. So there you go. Those are my thoughts. I guess that was the rant to end it out, but yeah, Amit said he was leaving 30 minutes ago. It was something that kind of derailed my entire day, bro. Because I'm like, on one side, I got Ileano and Chad that are like very good friends of mine. You guys know them. They've been on the channel. And then on the other side, I have one of my mentors, and they're both going at it, beefing over what exactly? Like over Karp wearing a watch. I'm just like looking at this and I'm like, what the fuck is like, this is ridiculous. And then I called Steve to be like, am I crazy or is this like actually insane? And Steve was like, this is stupid. This is legitimately stupid. This makes no sense. I was like, okay, cool. So at least I have someone else who recognizes this was not the right way to go about it at all. But it is what it is. It is what it is. And again, it's awkward now, dude. It's odd. Like, it's just like, to me, it makes things awkward. Makes things very awkward. And that's another, when you burn a bridge, the bridge, if you try to walk again across that bridge, there's no bridge anymore. You're going to have to swim or something. Like, it's going to be awkward. And it's not good to be, it's not good when there's an entire community that you have to be awkward with. I think it's not the right way to do it. So it is what it is. All right, I'm out. I'll be back tomorrow morning on the market open. Again, we got a lot of earnings after hours, a ton of stuff that we'll be looking at or in the pre-markets and after hours tomorrow. So tomorrow will still be a wild day. Palantir, 180 today. We are going to see if Palantir can continue to hold on to its momentum. NVIDIA, Apple, they're both moving after hours, likely on this whatever news we got on Apple with investing billions of dollars into the United States. Apple right here, 219. Palantir, 179.82. Grabs up a little bit after hours. Duolingo up 15%. And then you've got NVIDIA. That's at 180.50 after hours as well. An apology will go a long way, but you got to humble yourself to be able to do that. Yeah. And look, it's not easy to be humble to make an apology, especially when you know you're wrong and you have to publicly apologize. But that's the beauty of that's in my opinion, in the moments where I've had to apologize to someone or publicly or whatever, it's a weight lifted off your shoulder. It's a weight lifted off your shoulder. And that weight being lifted off your shoulder is way better than whatever animosity you have built up based on not making the apology. So, all right, well, that is it. I'll be back tomorrow. I think that's it. Friday. Yeah, there's nothing else this week. I mean, Steve will be on Friday. His article should be out tomorrow. We'll discuss Palantir with him as well. And then we're pretty much, I mean, we're for the next 3 weeks, we're done with earnings until NVIDIA. We have some companies here and there, but this was the big week this week and last week. Last week was the big tech earnings. This week was a bunch of other companies. And then we're done. Davis says, mate, you can't lift weights off your shoulders. Davis gets a Tesla and he starts talking all this shit. Well, actually, no, Davis has been talking shit in the chat for like 3 years at this point. But now he has a Tesla and he continues to talk shit. So there, Davis, I showed your Sydney Sweeney tweet in the morning, by the way. I showed everyone it was the most beta tweet on Palantir. It was more beta than my gym post about me rapping gangster lyrics after earnings. But it was a good post. I'm kind of jealous I didn't think of the idea because I actually am a little like, hey, Sydney Sweeney, I own Palantir. Like that actually would have been a banger. I didn't think of it though. So you got that one. All right, folks, I'm out. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. We'll be back tomorrow on the Market Open. Bye, everybody. Have a good one.